Hello there, everybody. It's yours truly, KaneFan701, and I am back with part 4 of the special Halloween special review throwback of the Clinchfield Curse itself, known as the Ghost Train II. As we know, apparently, we've been slowly but surely having a good laugh and fun by looking back on this good film that, even to this day, that has a lot of good feedback. I mean, even to this very day, a lot of fans do like it in terms of plot and writing, but I can understand other people's mixed opinions about it, which is a-okay with me. I can cope with that. But as we last left off, we got to where Edward had an encounter with the 311, tried to talk some sense into her to break away and move on, but she didn't do so. And then Timothy made an appearance, which kind of made an intriguing twist plot with him and Edward, which we would never get to find out, sadly, because of the whole post-production of the movie itself. And as we would progress on, Thomas got a nightmare of 311 and Timothy all at once, which really, really messed up his head. And then, he went to send to work with the China Clay twins, which were Bill and Ben, and then he actually did see the demon 311, almost dying in the process. And then we hear more point of views from Luke and Jason, the other two American locomotives, of how they got an encounter with the ghost. And we've built up to the part where, where we climax at this point, where 311 actually comes to the quote unquote roundhouse of Sodor, and that's where things get really good. Now, for those of you who have been wondering about this is really the real big build up of what will happen. Like, a lot of people were wondering what was 311 going to do. Would she take all the engines in one fell swoop? Well, that could have been why she let Thomas go, and why she wouldn't take Edward or all the other engines to be that manner. But that could have been the case. And if you guys want to join in, I have left the link in the chat for you. So pop in and we can get started on this one, because we might be doing just one or two parts because of I left it a bit quite late tonight, so just keep in mind. Okay then, so like I said, Wesley05, if you want to join in, as well as Creepy Boy number 90, pop in. There's plenty of space for you guys. We're just getting ready to start up. Okay. No, if you guys want to join in, the link's right there, lads. It's right there. Let me just get the share screen prepared up. Now, I do have to apologize for last night as well, which did get a little bit intense, but, at least that was taken care of. Hopefully. Thank goodness. Okay, guys, you can join if you want to. The link's right there, so come and join if you need to. All right, then. So as this review goes on, I'll try my best if I can pop along and see what I can do with this one here, because this is where things get really good. Okay. Okay, well, I went into I don't know what that was all about. Huh, hang on. Let me just rewind that back. That was a little bit strange there. Hey there, Jason. Nice to see you. Things are going pretty good. It's gone a little bit colder, I will have to say. But, yeah. It rained for a little bit, but it didn't last very long. Nice to flashing on off outside too. Like, it's really thick up there. Can't see a thing. Okay, let me just try that again. That was a little bit weird. Hang on. Okay, let's try that again. Okay. Let's try that again. Okay. So this is where, like, you know, the engines of Sodor are basically backing up because Halloween started, and then the American engines join in, and some of the rolling stock have been left on the sideline, you know. So this is where things get really good. Then, you know, David backs up. He's the last one to join in. Like, this was one of the most difficult scenes I've ever had to put together. Like, the editing was really difficult. And as you can tell, they're basically just sitting there and waiting.
A few hours later, Halloween was underway. The engines all murmured to one another as the minutes ticked by.
As you can tell, they're all in the same similar position. Edward is definitely unsure, but he knows 311's around.
Knowing at some point the spirit.
You know, Henry's freaked out. Thomas is just really freaked, and Emily's so worried. Doc is just petrified as Oliver is. Gordon's unsure. He's looking constantly, and James doesn't know what to think. And Rose is just, well, scared to death. Now, I've got to tell you, this was a very good shot, but problem was I tried to do the smoke effect, because in the fanfic version of this is actually, you know, it was very, very foggy and very blinding, so you couldn't see anything as much. But at the time, there was just no time to put the effects on it because it was very hard. I tried multiple times to get it right, but what happened was it was just, you know, very difficult. Like, I tried numerous attempts to get the special effects to look good. It just didn't turn out too well.
I don't like the looks of this.
It's here somewhere. I can sense it.
Sense it? I can feel it, and it's creeping the hell out of me.
Same here. Yeah, likewise.
Like, they know 311's around, and they can sense it. Again, I was supposed to put like a mist effect, you know, but the thing was, it just wasn't working out. Like, it really made the rendering look so horrible. So I had to get rid of it. That's the reason why it appears like it is now. But I will have to say this was one of the best scenes we did. However, though, like I said, the editing was an absolute nightmare. It pushed me to my limits. And it was slightly a little different in the fanfic because the engines weren't on all like this, like lined up in a file. They were like all over the place. But this is how the film version, you know, turned out. Although Edward was in the right position, so that was the only thing that wasn't changed. So Edward was basically the only one that was staying in his spot.
Guys, look!
She's here.
Now this was very good. Like, that was spot on, and then 311 comes out blindingly through the mist and through the headlamp, and then she finally appears. Then she finally unmasks herself and sees who she is as a demon.
It looks like you've all been expecting me.
So, you've decided to show up 311?
Every time I hear Louise say that line, it says, like, so, you decided to show up 311? That was just, I don't know why, but it's become a catchy line. It's just how it was delivered.
Yes, and what a perfect time for it to happen.
Yeah, I don't know why I kept the original lighting. I could have kept it in red. But the thing is that she's just not in her ordinary angered form yet. So that's the reason why I kept it as it was.
I see that those Those who encountered me previously, long ago, are still here. Those whom I spared and never took.
Oh, we remember still. Not a day goes by when I think about our meeting. You were that close to sending me to my demise, but you let me go after seeing my number was not the same as yours.
Time may have moved on, but my first time seeing you in that horrid form of yours still haunts me. Yet, you didn't bother to take me either.
I was foolish to let you live. I should have taken you and the others. You were all running over my place of rest. Others who were carrying the same number as me would get the ultimate punishment, and they did.
And that's when she sees the other engines that she didn't take.
Ah, the engines of Sodor that I've heard so much about. Still in fear of your first time seeing the demon in person?
Please, have mercy. We have nothing to do. What happened to you?
Yeah, again, as you can tell, Gordon is just like freaking the hell out. Like, he literally can't get over it. Like, again, he didn't know it was the innocent 311 he nearly ran into, but still, now that he knows what she looks like, well, in this form, it's just as 10 times as worse. So he's definitely like freaking out.
If you're here to take us, do it now.
And James is just like scared to death as well.
The end has come, guys. Might as well say our farewells.
Henry's saying the final words. It's if he's like, I will admit that bit was a bit funny, just how he pronounced it. It's like, oh, the time is gone, diary. And then he's like, as if he was just like, I don't know, accepting his demise, I guess. Ah, Charles Manson. Nice to see you, Thomas boy. Again, it was just like, and it was like, time has come, we might as well see how farewell. So it's like, ugh. I mean, he was supposed to say that more seriously, but I guess the voice actor can only go as far as saying it like that. I'm not sure who will come up with us. Oh, Backman and Tommy. Nice to see you. Oh, everything's really picking up now. Again, this is really where it gets good.
This is it. Goodbye, Sodor.
And of course, Rosie's accepting her fate anyway until Jason stops up.
Wait, before you kill one of us, please let us understand you. You're not all evil. Are you?
There is a part of you that still holds goodness within, madam.
She won't listen, Edward. Don't even try and help her. If you do, she'll...
It's worth it for me to have another try.
Yeah, Edward's definitely being somewhat heroic here. Like, it gets really intense.
Edward, no! What are you thinking? She might not...
I can do this, James. I've done this before with Mary at Henry's Tunnel not long ago.
Again, I'm throwing a reference to what Shunter Productions said, you know, when he spoke to Mary in Henry's Tunnel. Again, you gotta give Edward credit. He don't fear nothing. Like, even if he were to, quote-unquote, sacrifice himself, which he almost does in this moment, that's kind of what he was going to do, to be quite honest.
311, this is no place for someone such as yourself to be in. It's unfamiliar and far away from where you came from. You should be with your friends, those that were there for you. They might be missing you right now. Time has moved on since the tragic accident in 1957, and we on the island of Sodor think you should too.
You think it is time? No. No! It's
That's when 311 was now in full mode. Like, if she had done, she wouldn't have hesitated to take Edward.
not time! Prepare for you all to meet your final moments alive on this railway.
Before that happens, there's one question everyone wants to know. Why have you been called the demon for all of these years?
And that's the bit that finally got through 311. The question no one would ever answer. And you're probably thinking they will all die by that point. But no, 311's finally unmasking herself. then she reveals who she is. Probably the last time we ever see the demon of herself, and that's when we see who she is. And that's where things definitely kick in. Like the emotions begin to just, to really kick in. Okay, Backman and Tommy, if you want to join in with us, yeah, I'll bring you in. Again, Edward played a big role in this one because, after all, he wasn't seen as much during the last films. He didn't speak well. He had a cameo in the last one, then he kind of was seen a few times in the last. So this here was his big role. Hey, Backman Tommy Productions, nice to see you.
You too.
Wasn't too sure about it, but I thought, well, let's give you an opportunity and hear as we finally reach the climax.
Yeah.
Again, it's nice for you to be on, and like I said, it's good to see someone new who's been watching my films for a while, and yeah.
Yeah, I think I watched since like the first episode of the Timothy series, and I loved it ever since.
I'm glad you appreciate it, pal. Again, you can take your opinions about us as we go along. Hey, Astro Boy.
Hello.
We've just reached the climax where 311's basically unmasked herself, quote unquote, and now we get to hear from her point of view of why she's been the way she's been since that horrible day.
Oh, man.
This is where, like I said before, this is one of the many tearjerkers that in this film that come out. Like this is, like I said before, this was one of the most darkest and tragedy and most tear-filling films I ever put together. Like I said, and I did warn people before putting this together that this is what would happen. Like you might feel some, gripping moments, and that's what this film delivered. As you can see, 311's basically shown her true self. Like it wasn't an act. It was, well, quote unquote, not what we thought. And again, Liz does a hell of a good job doing this.
Asked why I bestowed that name. Yeah. Humans can't understand it, but I can. It so happened to be the thing that I learned to live with. But I'm not a demon. I never was. I only called myself that, all because of the bad things I had to go through. My bad luck streak is what caused.
And this is where we quote unquote see archive footage is from the guys that were there, as well as from her memory as well, as we learn a bit more.
Did most. Even when I went to work on the clench field, it only got worse. Being called a hoodoo or jinx locomotive hurt me and filled me with shame. And when I injured and killed 20 men...
Was that the 583, the sister engine of the 587?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. One of those who didn't survive.
I didn't mean to do that. I wasn't to be held responsible. It was my unlucky streak that did it. For decades, everyone feared me. Now I'm here on a railway far from home, spreading my legend along for others to know and understand what I went through my life. And yet here I stand, and you don't show it.
We're not afraid of you, madam. We feel sorry for you.
Again, Edward is just being as he is, but more standing up, like he ain't backing down. I'm telling you. I mean, the other engines could have done, but still.
Yeah.
We take pity and respect for any engine who's met a tragic end. Now that you've told us, we can actually understand why you've been feared by so many over the years. You have my sympathy.
How can you not be afraid of me? This steel love of hatred, this dark and horrid form.
You just wanted to find peace and move on.
Yeah, that's right. You've not found it yet. But this could be the time for it to finally be put down.
Edward's right. As he said before, time has moved on since that accident. No. I can't. I just can't.
As you can clearly see, 411 would want to move on, but like I said, she's so conflicted with, with so much. Robert, the reason why Edward's face is so high is because, he's right in the front of 311's, bright headlamp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, got someone named Xavier here. Oh,
Oh.
another Xavier. Don't know who that could be. Saying something called. Well, he is a wise engine. Let's put that well.
Yeah.
Hey, Xavier. I'm not sure if it's the same I knew long ago. Anyways, like I said, she was just so conflicted with what to do, and yet you'd think someone would have moved on for so long.
There's no way I can go and move on. For nearly 60 years, I've tried to cross over that very same place where my life ended, but I failed time and time again. And to those in the CSW who grew into mistrusting me, the company's
Yeah.
president and the board of directors looking at me as a liability that needed to be put down. How cruel of them to think of me that way. I had no friends, just an empty shell of complete loneliness.
This is technically what 311 was going through, like this entire time, right to the very end.
They were the only ones who really
Those are the
cared
ones who
about me.
trusted her.
For decades, my horde form has killed so many lives, humans or engines. When trespassing in my gravesite whenever my anniversary comes, they had to pay and suffer. I couldn't control it. It was out of my reach. Yet the feeling was so relieving whenever a new victim was added to my list. Now that I'm here on Sodor, a railway
Again, as you can tell, she just couldn't control it. She just loved taking so many, no matter who it was. Steam, diesels, or people, regardless.
Or neither, probably. Well, I know sometimes we have electric engines in the U.S.
I know, but even though, just like they would be lucky because that place isn't connected to it, so they probably the ones who didn't get caught.
By thinking that I had a normal demise. How cold-hearted of you! I wanted this to end, but not like this. Not with you dead. Those who wanted me to be put down and taken away, they had to pay.
But a rescue operation for the CSW was sent to find you, but they never did.
They did find me. However, they could have recovered and restored me, but they didn't.
And this is apparently what 311's memory of it was.
When they located me, the manager wasted no time in setting up the cranes to start clearing the debris. The company president arrived not long after they had started lifting the remains of the few flats. The president looked down at my battered remains far below and smirked when he told the manager,
I want the bodies of the engineer, fireman, and conductor removed from the wreck as quickly as possible. And clean up the rest of these cars.
And what of the 311?
And of course, that's the last surprise everybody didn't expect when Victor Tanzik did the voice rolling. And it just worked, and everybody went nuts.
Yeah.
And I know, that wasn't my idea, I'll tell you that much. At least we kind of found a villain as well, somewhat, for this part of the story.
Well, that kind of reminds me about Alfred E. Perlman of the New York Central, that he wanted to scrap all the steam engines in the Central.
He did. Hey, Brandon.
Hi, Billy Mays here to see about the Clinchfield Curse.
Yes,
hey, dude, how's it been?
Jeez.
I know it's only me. I'm doing pretty good. I see that we're magically into part 1200 of this film.
You mean part 4? Yeah, we're almost there, but we're on part. Yeah, we're on the other part where we reached the climax of the film, but we get to
the epic reveal at the end.
Basically, 311's point of view, and then of course the manager, aka that Victor Tanzik did, which he did he told me he really liked it, and I do think it was one of the best things. And I will say this live, and I'll go on record to tell you that that was the last surprise that Mr. Ortez gave to me, and it was really a nice idea, and the fans just loved it. If that hadn't happened, who knows what would have happened, how the film would have unfolded like the way it did. because I didn't know who to get the manager, because I was going to do the voice dubbing and it didn't work out too well. You know, I tried a few others and that didn't work. And then Mr. Ortez suggested, I'll give it to someone who might do a good job, and he didn't tell me. And then when I showed who it was Victor Tanzik doing the role, and I said, I love it. These guys are going to absolutely go crazy when they hear his voice, because they were all going absolutely nuts over with, when Thomas Warner 2 Henry 3 was, doing the whole voice dubbing, and then when Victor came in, that was like when oh, this is looking very, very awesome.
Originally,
he was here.
Originally, Wilder Wester was supposed to be the voice of the manager before he.
Actually, Brandon, I didn't reach out to Wilder Wester at the time. No,
well,
I can't. I don't recall ever asking Wilder Wester to do the role, but that would have been quite nice. But at the time, I wasn't too convinced if it wasn't going to work out or not. But I don't recall ever asking him at all.
Oh, okay.
Very interesting.
Because I never got a word back from him or whatever it was. So it's clearly obvious he didn't. That's not what I can remember. But anyways, see, we have Xavier who's joined with us, but I'm not sure if it's the same Xavier I knew or not.
Well, I mean,
you
never know.
Okay. There's too many Xaviers around that I know all too well of. In any cases, and of course, since you guys popped in, we've got 10 viewers now, which is good. But I'm hoping that the actual viewers who like and enjoy this streaming as we progress onwards. If any of you guys want to answer give me some questions about it, then you can as we go along.
Yes.
So,
very interesting. Now,
that locomotive has caused more damage to this railroad than any other I've seen in my 40 years as president of this company. And it's costing us millions just to get her running again after she wrecks, as well as paying medical bills of all the railroad men she maimed when that money could be used for many other things. It was about time that she was put in her rightful place in light of her rather appalling service record with both the Quinchfield and our railroad, and sweep this whole fiasco under the rug.
But sir, we can't just leave her here. She doesn't deserve to be simply forgotten just because of something she could not control.
Silence! Now do as I say and clean this mess up, or I will end up releasing you as your role as manager. Understand?
The manager headed back to the work crew, and the president climbed into his car and headed back down the mountain to Campton. I was so heartbroken and enraged by what he had said. By the next day at dawn, the wreck was cleared away, but I remained in my watery grave. To this day, my remains are still there, but no one has ever noticed. The president of the CSW ordered the dispersion.
I did that in part of a GIMP effect.
Campton Southwestern. My name was among the files destroyed, fading into the mists of time. And when my spirit started showing up once a year, everyone just started to refer to me by my number.
How awful.
How heartbreaking. So you see, I'm not what everyone thinks I am. I only called myself a demon for I wanted revenge. And yes, I did think those locomotives and diesels who had the same number was a mockery to me. They had to suffer a terrible fate. To me, it was to serve the CSW a lesson for what they did to me. And the president who I blamed the most would meet a worthy death. And that was my ultimate revenge. That no good, idiotic...
No, 311. I did. I avenged you.
My engineer, fireman, and manager.
Yes, the ultimate truth unfolds.
Crap.
Stay tuned next year to find the ultimate conclusion to this story.
Brandon, it's not that too. We're about to find out anyway. Yes.
Yo, what's up?
Just in
Oh my gosh.
that was quite. I will. Okay, Brandon, I'm going to admit that was quite hilarious. I will say that's kind of put a smile on my face. Thanks, pal. I needed a good laugh anyway with that. But again, Wesley, you've just popped in for the ultimate part where we finally get to hear what happened to CSW's actual president, because
Oh yeah.
311 claims that she took his life, but no, it
Yeah.
turns out that the bad deed was done for another reason. Although
Yep.
I must warn you,
Yeah.
in the fanfic version, it's a bit more darker and more bloodier and gory.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
No, I mean
Well,
literally, like it's basically like
Yeah.
more gruesome.
I think I remember seeing the fan.
Well, for one thing, if I remember correctly, in the 1980s and 90s, it was like the age of the rail merger. But I believe that 311's company would have to merge with other competitors.
It was
no,
just
that's very
around. It
true
was
because
just. That was just.
that's when steam
It was just
locomotion
during.
was fading
It was
into the
during the
mist.
'60s when it happened. Actually,
Well, that's
was-
because about the non-rail competitors such as air travel and road travel,
yeah,
especially the trucking industry as well.
indeed. Hey, Gamer down 63. Hey, Christiane Hartley, nice to see you. Yes, Jazz Command Beard. He did get quote unquote. He did actually got the big shot. Yes, multiple, but again,
Quite literally.
But in the fanfic version, it was more gruesome and violent. Whereas here, it was the first time I was attempted to do something like that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was a bit hesitant and a bit worried what viewers would think if they would see something like that. I know others were doing it, which was quite funny for obvious reasons. But for me to do it, I was thinking, am I going a bit too far with this? Is this going to be too violent for the audience? You know, because at the time I wasn't too sure about, you know, what they would think, and I was targeting this for again for older audiences back then. Like this was like the first kind of, you know, I wouldn't say age restrict, but it was definitely I don't know how I was going to pull through with it. So I was worried about what would happen, you know, especially with the sound effects I was using. But the special effects for what I did for the multiple shootouts that the manager does on the president was actually quite funny. But again, I wasn't too sure if it was going to work.
Indeed, it was quite a sacrifice, but the
Well, it wasn't
sacrifice.
again, it was a sacrifice, quote unquote, Brandon. But you know, the manager did what he did. He didn't give a damn if he committed a wrongdoing or committing murder to another bad guy. He just wanted it to be over for 311 so badly. So he was basically like, screw this, I'm just going to do it. And then and in the fanfic version, he would have, committed suicide for it because he knew he would get caught for it. But in the fanfic version, he drives the car off the bridge down into the ravine, which would have worked for 311's ghost anyway. We tried that. Me and Chuck tried to do this a few times in the filming, but it was just so difficult. It wouldn't work at all.
In the fanfic version, didn't it also say that the manager himself was possessed by 311, and she ordered the manager to do what he did in the film?
No, that was kind of an early idea, but I kind of scratched that from the fanfic as well. So instead, he was just doing his motivation, and then he did what he did afterwards because he knew what he was going to do anyway. But the thing was, what made it tragic after that is like in the film version, he sets his car alight instead, which was even better. And then he goes on.
It was bound basically.
Yeah, that was the best way of making it even more easier. And I thought that would be even 10 times better. And then he goes on the bridge and he waits, and then 311 just comes out of nowhere, demonically possessed, and unknowingly, takes the life of her best friend, which makes it more tragic in the story. And of course, 311 doesn't even know that until when we find out later, which again makes this even more of a darker, tragic tale of the character. But what 311 didn't realize is that even though in the heat of the moment he did kind of get quote unquote killed off by 311, he in the fanfic version he probably would have dove over and fell into the ravine below, taking his own life instead, because that's technically what he was going to do to avoid to not be caught or whatever. But again, this is how it unfolded in the film version. He just stands there and just in a way gets killed off by his own best friend. Like I said,
pretty much
that makes it more tragic.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just like the sad story of the one that was sacrificed by Fenchurch all those years ago.
Oh.
Who?
Fenchurch, like one of Stepney's brothers and sisters that
Oh, I
that
thought you were talking about one of the Wild Northwesters on where what's his name, the Red Engine who saves it. Who keeps his
Winston?
own.
yeah
Not that one.
Winston.
That Winston, yeah, but I thought you were referring to that one. But in my version, Winston never died. As you can tell, he's still alive in mine because
Well,
he's
that but
Yeah.
but also that the engine in the actual story was not James's bases. It was at different bases altogether.
indeed. But in any cases, like I said before, it was a very tragic story. That again, we find out the truth of like what happened to the CSW president, and we're all thinking, no, who did who is who, and originally 311 was going to be the one to do it, but instead, her own best friend did it instead as an act of revenge, but also to put the guy in his place because that guy, the person who was doing it, was old. He should have retired, but no, he just wasn't
Yeah,
going to
the
have.
president was a dick anyway.
Yeah, he was power
Still
hungry.
kind of reminds me about Alfred E. Perlman of the New York Central.
Well, you see,
No.
like now the
Astro Boy, that was not intentional to base this character off the guy off the New York Central. That was not based on the idea of that guy. I can tell you that much.
I know, but it just sort of reminds me about that, how he never preserved the locomotives at the Central.
Or
That's very true.
Especially the New York Central Niagaras.
Yeah, especially.
But I will say,
I thought you were gonna compare him to the guy who gave the Milwaukee Railroad bad management, as we all know.
Well, I mean, I did hear from Burlington Northern that the Milwaukee Road was a competitor to that company.
Indeed,
yes.
it was.
However, I will say that that the prime minister of that railway was, really I mean, imagine the alliance he would have with Phil Bogaston if they were ever to cross paths in the afterlife.
Oh my goodness!
Oh
my God!
Well, that would be intriguing if that were the case. Oh Jesus! No, I don't think it would make a good rivalry. But I could definitely tell.
No, I'm talking about like an alliance, like them working
Yeah,
together.
they could have a similar cause, but I don't know how long their alliance would last. That's the only thing.
I mean, because like spoiler alert, I have a project where Phil Bogaston works with Owen Ruth in the on the same team.
Oh,
and look who's on the cameo for part 15.
Yes, and these stupid ads. No one gives a damn.
But they're educational.
Not for me, they aren't. In any case, it's like I said before, this was very, very hard. I mean, part 12 was a nightmare to get through, but this was no sweat. This was done within a matter of, if I can recall, in a matter of a few days. It was about like a day or two, but I will admit, what I did was then I started doing, placing the audio at the bottom and the sound effects, and then I put the footage on afterwards, and it really saved a lot of time, and it really worked out so well. And that's what made it easy for me, and it was less stress relief for me. Again, I have to remind you, it really was a nightmare in the end, but this was worth doing.
It was.
Yeah, I do the same thing when I make videos, and it's actually a lot
easier
than what I
what
used
was
to do.
hilarious. What I found hilarious about this was when I was listening to Victor's voice without the music and sound effects, or just basically without the sound effects and just placing the music on afterwards. It was just hilarious, as if he was like telling the story from his own series, and from the older
stories of Sodor.
Yeah, that's what it felt like in a strange way. And I was, I don't know why. I started laughing a lot. I was like, his voice is getting so catchy, playing certain parts over and over. It's just, I don't know. It was just, but I can't lay my finger on it because it was just so catchy and funny. It's the same thing with with Shine Ortez's voice. Whenever he does a female voice or anything that he does, I'm telling you, it's just stress relieving, hilarious, and just like I say, it's just a very positive voice to hear. And the same thing with Victor. Well, nowadays it's kind of mixed now because of what he's doing now. But when he was first starting out, definitely that's the Victor Tanzik voice I like to be having to be remembered of. Where he was slow
Indeed.
plotting, but now he's kind of like in super fast, maximum overdrive voice dubbing now. Where
Yeah,
he can
like
barely keep up with
maximum
the action.
maximum override was a pretty special film. It was a story about trucks wanting to fuel.
Oh
but they were
god, no,
quite-
Brandon, that is not true. Don't go overdrive, mate.
Oh
We don't
my,
want to go there.
oh my gosh.
Brandon,
That's what the story was.
really? Jesus.
Okay, okay.
Anyways.
Well, let's not get off track here. Let's.
Bye.
Yeah, let's get to the
The
film.
president of CSW died because of me. I was the one who killed him.
And a certain someone completely ripped off that line in their own movie.
Oh dear.
What do you
If
mean you
you
ripped off
know
that
what
line?
I'm talking about.
If it's who I think it
dear.
is,
Oh.
then yeah.
Oh dear.
You mean, oh yeah. I don't know if he's or whatever, but like I said before, he stole the same lines or whatever. Yeah.
I've never told anyone to keep it locked away.
What is it all about?
Again, Gordon is just like, he doesn't know. He's literally like messed up in the smoke box. He's thinking he's gonna die again, but then he's like, what the hell is this going on about? And he's like, again,
Yeah.
Gordon has no clue. I mean, everybody else doesn't know about it either. Again, but as you know, he's gonna like want to hear this.
The moment of truth is about to come.
Yeah, listen to Edward.
I know. Edward basically being himself,
The only one you can
Yeah.
trust.
I don't understand this. Why did you intervene in something you had no right to be in? Everyone from CSW had to learn from me the hard way, even the president. He was to have the worst of all.
It wasn't our decision. We were dead after that, and nothing could be done.
Only the manager could. And he too is dead after what he had done to avenge you.
But why? Why? I thought I had done what was to be.
Yeah, if they did have faces and whatnot, then you probably would have seen the expression of what 311 was doing.
Well,
yeah.
What happened to the president of the CSW?
This bit here, and from this beginning to when he finally, confesses at the end of it or whatever, I had a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie, like it was really, really cool.
It started after the president ordered me to leave you where you were. With each passing moment, I could not help but feel guilty.
Although in the actual retelling of this in the new canon, not this one time we're seeing here, it actually does happen where he does say 311. Like this bit plays as it does, but in the end he does it anyway.
I forget how bad the series can get.
Yeah.
Like how it should have been.
Interesting.
After the recovery operation was finished, I returned to the main headquarters of the Camden Southwestern Railroad, where one fellow worker told me, when no one was looking, about the information and files of you being destroyed. I was very upset, and my pain over your loss got worse. I had intentions on making a memorial to you and your crew after the new bridge was built, but my mind was thinking of something else. Revenge. I couldn't get over it, and I resigned as manager of the CSW within 2 months. 3 years went by, and by then, witnesses were reporting of seeing your ghost up in the mountain. To me, it was like you were calling out, wanting to have closure and be laid to rest. Even after my resigning 3 years previously, the president was still running the CSW, but being rejected by his workers due to the fact he was now on a power trip whose ego got the best of him.
I can see the NMW boxcar right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that was what we could use at the time. And this here at Low Campton, this is like just outside the safety of where 311 would have made it back had she, crossed over that bridge, had it not collapsed.
Yeah.
Back
Yeah,
down
that would be like in an alternate timeline.
Yeah,
Because in the alternate timeline, the worker that's sweeping on the ground and basically like the Low Canton sign would say, "Workmen, you're doing such a great job. Keep sweeping the road. You're doing an excellent job of community service."
Indeed. Well, he's doing the best he can.
What the
Again, Thomas 123 did a hell of a good job with these additional voicing, and it
Indeed.
was perfect.
Yeah.
You could give them the. Well, I did additional voicing later, but for these guys, it was perfect. I don't know why. It just was.
Indeed.
Yeah, it works really well.
Yeah.
Quitting, for they didn't want to work for an insane.
Oh, just to let you know, I did that in Game Perfect. I just
I can clearly see.
Yeah, I see.
It was supposed to be like 4 guys. I don't know why, but he picked the wrong guy. So all I did was I just painted over him, and I don't know how I did that. I still don't know how.
It was excellent, regardless.
It worked.
Yeah, I don't even remember how the hell I did that, to be honest.
You don't remember?
No, all I know is I painted over him for sure, but to put him in on the actual footage, yeah, I don't remember. This bit I thought it was good. Where he's like, "This is just ridiculous. It doesn't matter how he's gonna work for him. He's just run his damn company to the ground." When I heard him say that the first time, I don't know why, I just burst out with laughter. It just felt so cartoony.
Yeah.
He's just running this company into the ground.
He does, or no matter how much we try to work hard for him nowadays. He's just running this company into the ground.
No shit, Sherlock.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to bring that up. It's actually
that's okay.
No, it's fine, man. It's fine.
Yeah, it's good.
That guy, this dude. I mean, this guy was pretty good. He just spoke his ordinary voice.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, Woody did pretty good in this moment.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, CSW were facing a lot of financial hard times. Not to mention the manager was actually, the president was actually in favor of diesels and steam engines at this point. Again, this was a bit of a reference to what other guys were doing in America at the time, I guess, during dieselization.
Okay.
Yeah. Diesels always replace the steam age.
Oh god.
And then diesels will replace other diesels for the future.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, because it was possibly responsibly from the Electric Motive Corporation that lended itself into the following market.
Well, that's the thing, because we must understand the truth about scrap tells the story of why diesel was retired into the side and waiting to be fired away.
It will be in a few days.
But the 3 main steam builders have never faced such an exponential crisis.
Not yet, at least. Until now. 2035. An engine rising from the tank.
Oh, God. Hey,
hi.
Pastor. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, too.
Like I said before, though, steam engines were on their way out at this point, or for preservationing. Again, but at this point, the CSW president, who should have been booted out of his office a long time ago, was basically cutting corners at this point, and giving them low payments and whatnot, which is not good.
Yeah, the manager said, was he on a power trip?
Yeah, he was. He had a super ego at this point. He didn't want to let go of his power. He's still he'd been running for over 40 years at this point.
So yeah.
How did he get accepted as president?
It's basically, that's what they were called. If you do the railway, the chairman of the railroad, in a way, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm trying to remember what they said in railroad version. They have a presidency for the Union Pacific or Southern Pacific or New York Central. That's what they were called back there. They're the leader of the railroad.
Oh, okay.
That's what I remember. At least that's how I learned.
Paychecks, which absolutely suck, including mine. Yeah, my paychecks suck too, and I'm not getting the right amount of money either. He needs to retire and have someone to take over so that we can keep the Captain Southwestern Railroad running.
Hey, quick, get your asses back to work.
Back to work.
Yeah, I almost was going to say, it's like, grab Murray and get your asses back to work. But I was like thinking, nah, I'm going a little extreme. So I'll just let him just say, quit your moaning, get back to work.
Well, the better response
he's
would have been,
good.
oi, 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 you, oi, you, oi, you.
No, we're not going to do the,
that thing.
it's not that Thomas YouTube police bloke or
It's been overused.
or even Station Master Jeffrey thing. Okay, Jesus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's been overused a lot.
It's my company, and you will follow every order that I say. Got that?
The only way for this to end was to have him removed from office and get a new president to take over and keep CSW running.
Yes, and CSW would run still until it was taken over in the 1980s, as we heard from what Louise said about. But the thing is, though, how this was going to go down. These guys didn't know what the manager of the railroad was going to do. So they were completely oblivious. They didn't even know. Even later years on, they would never know. Even after he was dead, they wouldn't know either. Yeah, they would never know.
Interesting. But to me, that wouldn't do me justice to put closure on your death.
This is where I got the date wrong. I was supposed to say 1963, I think it was. No,
1963.
Yeah, 1960. I was supposed to say 1959 or 61 or whatever it was, because he said it would be the 4th anniversary.
Oh,
so
yes.
I did get a bit of a
It would have been the
tweak
44th
still.
anniversary.
It was just
my error. It's fine.
Like this the shooting here at nighttime with this, when me and Uriah Studios were doing this was very difficult because we were not used to driving road vehicles at this point. Because this car kept on flipping off the road on tight turns no matter what. So it was a bit of a royal pain in the tires, shall we say.
Yeah, a real pain in the bonnet.
Yeah, this bit was okay, so there was no problem.
Yeah.
Not the final bit.
No, but this bit here, I'm not lying. This took us 6 attempts to get it right because this car kept on going way too fast. Like it flipped off at one point, then it went off that way, and yeah. So it was a nightmare, but it was, fun to look back on it now, but it was frustrating.
Indeed.
Frustrating to make it, huh?
And I drove up to Camden.
And this last bit here was basically, this basically took us 2 attempts to get the car stopping in the right position.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Was it really hard to do all this?
It really was, because we were used to driving on the trains, but we weren't used to driving road vehicles, and some of these could go quite fast, especially if you're driving ordinary cars. So yeah, this was a bit new and refreshing, but it was fun. But again, looking back on it now, it's hilarious. But when we were trying to do it, it was very frustrating.
Precisely.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, like I said, and this is the office where the president was. Even though we're filming on the top of Highland Valley, we were supposed to say this is like somewhere up in the hills of Campton.
Yes.
Just a short, just a bit of a short hilly incline from where it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
Sorry about that. What we were trying to do was this is not high in the mountains or something. This is like you could say a couple of miles somewhere on the incline of where Campton is, if you know what I'm saying. So we were trying to use different locations to make it look like it wasn't as far from the main station. Yeah.
No one else was around at the time. The president was still in his office, finishing up paperwork, when I burst in.
Okay, and like I said before, in the fanfic version, it's very different. Not like this, but so I had to tone it down here. So I just used the gift effect because the guy had no face. He was using military trains. I still don't know how Chuck managed to pull that off. Find the model and whatnot. Again, this was
he has his resources.
I know how, but the thing is that I was worried when I was doing this bit. But again, when I was putting the sound effects and listening to it without the music and just without the music and whatnot, it just felt hilarious. when you play it that way, it was like, you know, again, I was really concerned about how this was going to play out, especially what would they think of it too. So I was a bit concerned. Thanks, Eric the Train. I'm glad to see that you remember this film, and I'm glad. Again, if it wasn't for Liz, like I said, if it wasn't for Liz Productions herself, 311 wouldn't have been well received as a female voice actress, to this very day. I don't know if she still knows that or not, but if anybody were to tell her, again, I'm just glad that I was able to get her when she did.
Yeah, she's really good.
It's just sad. It's just upsetting it's just very upsetting that would be the last I'd ever have to work with her or whatever. And I haven't spoken to her for like over 3 years now.
Oh, he's gone again.
Yes, Wesley's internet must have passed away, and yes, I agree, Eric. Eric the Train fan, 1,400, 8,000. Yes, everyone did an excellent job choice acting the characters in the film. I wholeheartedly agreed. And now we will.
I'm waiting for Wesley to get back because I know he wants to see this.
Yeah. So, I see him. There he is. Okay, and now we will.
Again.
There we go.
And then we'll play the moment of all truth.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Everybody nowadays, this line has become a bit of a catchphrase a little bit for some people because they all keep saying the whole "revenge for 311, boom boom" thing. It's like become somewhat of a meme almost. But yeah, it wasn't
a
really
trademark
intended.
meme. Yes.
Yeah. It wasn't really intended, but it definitely worked. And again, Victor did a hell of a good job.
What? All right. Whoa. Robert Johnson, the president went down the same way that Luke Skywalker did years ago. I don't see the comparison.
No, he did not. Robert, look, how many times have I got to tell you? Stop throwing Star Wars references. He didn't go down the same direction, okay? Jesus Christ, enough with that. Look, I know you like Star Wars and everything, but stop blending the two together. Please.
That could be an alternate universe where, like, the manager has, he has lightsabers, among him.
Oh yeah, well, okay, maybe he did, but it wasn't like he basically did what Anakin Skywalker did, but with other intentions. Okay, it wasn't like he wasn't committing Order 66.
With my gun.
What the hell? Who are you and what do you want?
Revenge for 311.
Boom, boom.
Bang, bang, bang.
Gotta have this
for Tobias, the tram engine.
Yeah. Basically, I was gonna there was gonna be a lot more in this. Like there would have been swearing in this. Like I was, originally, and because in the fanfic, it's a brutal death. Like very brutal.
Yeah.
How brutal.
But here I had
it was more violent than what we were provided.
Yeah, basically when he was firing, the magic was going to say basically he was going to say this is revenge for leaving 311 to die, you son of a bitch, boom boom. That was the original line I was going to give him, but I thought
what I think would have been made this even more impactful.
Yeah.
If the managers called 311 by her name.
Oh, now you know what, mate? Perhaps if I ever do a remake, maybe that could work.
Potentially, yeah. But no. Here's the thing: imagine if the manager said this to the president before he fired. He should have said, "One shall stand, one shall fall." And then
I think I know what you mean. Yeah. I think
that's a famous Optimus Prime quote from Transformers.
What about the whole in the end? I was going to say at the end of it, it was like he was going to say the mother effer word, but I was like, nope, can't have that either because I really wanted to really go into a mature section of this, but I was like, nah, because again at the time, I wasn't sure what everybody else in the fandom were doing because it would have caused distress and alarm. But maybe today's time, you could probably get away with it now. But back then in 2017, I was like, nah, it's only going to, I was thinking if people get the wrong impression of where I was going with this. So this was the first time I was doing this. But how it all turned out, I was good. Even after when Jason later tells even if it was wrong by killing him off or whatever, he got what was coming. Although I did get some very critic comments about that, but they understood where I was coming from a neutral perspective, because you could say the manager turned vigilante, almost like Batman, almost, except he did what Ben Affleck's Batman was doing, branding and being the absolute snob out of criminals, even if he killed us.
Yes.
So yeah, I was kind of going into that direction.
Interesting.
Indeed.
Basically, you go into that shades of grey mode where you take the situation in your own hands, as long as you deal with it the right way, even if you do end up committing,
Yeah.
basically when you commit murder, like what the president unfortunately happened to him, he did, but he got what was coming.
Yep.
Sometimes I know I get a lot of hate for saying it, but sometimes it's the only option if necessary.
Yeah. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, even if it means sacrificing all the good to do, and that's what he did. Because the manager knew what he was going to do anyway.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yes.
Who are you and what do you want?
Revenge for 311.
Yeah.
Boom. Boom.
Bang, bang,
Bang, bang.
I'm not gonna lie. The sound effects I used for this was actually perfect, and then the yelling, screaming. For those of you who may not know it actually came from one of my favorite childhood Spider-Man video games.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from the 2000 video game, and it was just so brilliantly done. I'm not gonna lie, I actually laughed my head off without the what I did was I put the yelling first, and then I put like the I put the effects on first, and then I put like the boom 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 afterwards. Although that was a bit of a
tricky.
It was tricky because it wasn't synchronizing with the boom effect because it came out quite fast, and so I had to kind of slow it down just a little bit. So that was a bit annoying, but I had it in the right position where it came out of the gun blaster. It's just that the banging wasn't going with the blast that came out. That was the thing. That was a little bit tricky.
Okay.
But it was fun. I will admit, it was fun.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Anyway.
Okay.
And now, it was at this moment that the president of the CSW realized that he messed up completely.
Uh-huh.
It was also at that moment.
Yep.
It was also at that moment the manager had no choice, and he said to 311, 311, please take me into your arms. I am ready to join the afterlife.
Indeed, that's actually technically that's actually what he would have said, Brandon, off camera.
Yeah.
Except I was going to break the punchline saying, "Manager, I'm a steam locomotive. I don't have any arms." It's like an outtake. It was like I'm speak.
Yes, it didn't take up an outtake.
It's a vigorous speech.
Yeah.
and then he would have said like I was speaking metaphorically.
Oh wait, I hear a freight train coming past by,
and I can hear it in the background. Yeah, I just love playing this back. It was just so funny, and then finally when I got it in, I just burst out with laughter. And at one point,
hold on, I'm trying to open this door to my truck.
Yes.
Revenge for Clint.
Y'all hear the horn?
I heard it, and that's everybody's been replaying it ever since then. The most replayed version.
Oh, God.
Oh dang! People really love to see his death.
They do.
Yeah, people must really hate that president.
Except we don't see it happen on camera. We just see it off screen, like we used to see in those
we
horror
see the
films.
aftermath, but we don't see.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's like what we saw in RoboCop. We don't see him getting butchered. We just see him in the aftermath afterwards. Again,
pretty much.
Well, okay, in RoboCop, you do see the main bad guy. We see him falling to the ground, but we don't see the aftermath.
That's the thing.
Look at the president's face.
Okay, the freight
not
train
wanna
that
do
passed.
paperwork.
The freight train that passed me was the BNSF double stack train.
Oh, double stack.
That is correct.
Oh boy.
And that's also correct that 1522 is also in a museum.
For Clinchfield
311.
Or in this case, I used to make several jokes. I was like, "What are you doing here? This is revenge for." I did it for all different types. Like, this is revenge for what happens when you screw Disney over Star Wars and not make a normal surgery. This is for killing off Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and everybody else.
Oh boy.
Oh, so you're like,
You know what I
Yeah,
can see this as?
Kind of funny.
I can see this as the fans and the Thomas fans, and
well, the
as
fans
like
versus
as the
Mattel.
manager, and as the and the president would be Mattel.
Yeah, fans
Oh
versus
yeah,
Mattel.
I could.
The cancel
basically,
culture.
listen,
That
or
works so
basically,
well.
this would be like, this is revenge for giving us the reboot that we didn't want, and for Legends Go.
Like, if they're gonna reboot it, they might as well just miles at this point.
Oh yeah, you heard something about All Legends Go being the terrible one, right?
It's a piece of garbage.
They're actually, believe it or not, I don't want to spoil it much, but one of the characters in All Legends Go actually is very relatable and has become instantly popular amongst the fandom.
Oh,
yes, we all know the caboose bloke who has autism. Yeah, I know.
I never watched the reboot, and I never will.
Agreed.
So they are getting somewhere. They're getting somewhere, but it's still.
They're trying, but they're trying,
but they're
and
not
yet
going to
they're
get us
trying,
over.
but it's just like, wow.
It's
Like,
basically.
I will appreciate the Brenner era making references to the Railway series. I'll give them that.
That is true. But I'll give
Like
them credit
them
for that
making
too.
like episodes about like the miniature engines actually basing off the books.
That is true. They're trying to.
I mean, because
like that, I can
when I saw
appreciate.
Flying Scotsman in All Engines Go, I will admit I literally was like, so they haven't forgotten about him. But I was just disappointed.
Wait, the Flying Scotsman was in there?
I think he was, yeah. And then it was like, okay, he looks all right, but I was disappointed they had to put him in. But at least they hadn't forgotten. Okay, at least that was my main concern.
And it was great to see in the very last episode, like a picture of like the first drawing of Thomas ever, like when Percy races by.
I might have to 12 my. I need to think on 12. Tell my friends about the Flying Scotsman being in All Engines Go. I had to tell them about that.
That's what I saw, anyways. Again, this has been the most replayed ever since. I mean,
I can see why.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was a bit nervous about doing it, but again, at least it was well.
Yeah, it worked out great.
Yeah, but you would think someone like me would do a scene like this, but then again, it was brand new for me. Again, I mean, we all saw what happened when Victor Tanzik did Citadel of War. That kind of worked, and Thomas 123's done it a couple of times. So I gave it a try myself. So I was like, well, okay, let's see how I do it.
Yeah.
I mean, he also showed an engine, just like deliberately just driving off a cliff. So
yeah, okay, that's also true.
Indeed, yeah. Again, I love playing this bit over. I mean, it was just so funny. And then at the end, where Victor Tanzik was like saying like blood was everywhere, this and this and that. And I just started, I don't know why, I just started laughing. I was like, Jesus Christ, where am I? I don't know why. I just keep looking back on it now. And it's just a laugh to look back on. But the editing became so much fun because Victor Tanzik's voice was just, again, so stress relieving. And
he's great.
I mean, it was just enjoyable.
Yeah.
It was like he was telling a story, just like Thomas 123 did when I was doing his backstory of 311. There are some certain people that, I've worked with, and when they just tell their story of a flashback or they do anything regardless, that's what I love about in doing projects with people. If they tell like trying to tell a real story or whatever it is, or basically just or anything, it just works, and it gets me so into it. Like, this is really good.
Yeah, his voice can work for anything.
They know how to tell a narrative story, or well, from a fandom point of view, not from a professional standpoint, but from a Thomas fandom point of view. That's what I'm referring to.
By giving like the right tone of what the scene needs to be.
Basically, if you were doing a TV series or just a fanfic style, or from an RWS remake or CGI, regardless, that's what I'm referring to.
Interesting.
Now, it is. I just love playing Split. This is Revenge for Clint 11. Die, boom.
Kill him.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, that's for
everybody.
And that's for everybody else who gave me a hard time as well, to be quite honest, as well. Kayfabe, bro. Ugh.
I gotta watch this again.
He's dead.
Yeah, he lost.
I am dead.
Holy
no
crap!
big surprise.
Don't worry.
I mean,
That's
don't worry,
actually
lads.
pretty
He
good.
lost. Don't worry,
Shame on the
guys.
President 3. He's
Oh my
gone.
god, the hat.
Yeah, he lost his hat, but don't worry, he didn't blow his head off. That's why you can't see his head. Don't worry, it wasn't that.
Oh, okay.
He didn't shoot- he
well,
didn't
that's
like-
very
he-
good because
That's understandable.
because we
that's
see
basically that's where he's shot. That's where it's going everywhere, and it just went all over the place.
there
and then
was
just-
also. It's great that's amazing that he like the president was defeated, but the files are covered in blood.
No, not those files. That was his paperwork.
Oh,
you.
that actually explains it.
No, I had to use a stunt double for that to do the effects, which again worked out quite well. Again, thanks to GIMP and using special effects for that.
Was Eric the stunt double?
No, that was no. Jesus, it was. I don't remember who it was now.
Okay,
After I shot him several times, I then went to see if any files of you were still there.
Again, doing my eye direction there, looking both ways again for animation.
There's
And
the
of course-
smoke. There's the lamp. There's a cigar. There's a
ashtray.
And the blood is gone.
That's
and
no,
the
he's
body's
gone.
gone.
No, he's gone over to the other side of the desk, so somewhere else. This is where.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
So he's in a different side of the room now.
Now
This
it
is
makes
where-
sense.
So I was,
That
I
makes
was
sense.
wondering, like, where did all the blood go? Did it just disappear
No,
into
because
thin
look
air?
there. Because look there, I left that as well. So he's on the other side of the room. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is where he actually found what we would discover to be the quote unquote most important files of 311 that he did. And to this day, if you were to continue with this, they're still around almost.
I'll be right back, guys. I'm gonna do something real quick. You continue on.
All right.
All right.
Right.
And to my surprise, some had survived. After putting the body of the dead president in the boot of my car,
Oh,
I don't
God.
know why you just said that, but when I played that over and over, it was like, after putting the dead president in the boot of my car. How he said that without the narrating and everything else was, again, hilarious. But it was
He could
really
have said
brilliant.
trunk.
Yeah.
Yes.
But at the end of the day.
But then
it
again,
worked.
Victor is Australian.
Well, of course, he was just reading he was
Yeah.
basically just reading what was in the lines. Again, this was very difficult. This took us
Yes.
7
Indeed.
attempts. This took us 7 attempts to get this car to go down that way and everything, because at one point it went off camera and then all of a sudden it just went flipping all over the place and it being derailed and was bouncing off like a super ball, which was quite funny. And we tried every time, but it kept flying off the tracks because it was like a really fast transportation thing.
Oh,
It was a
jeez.
very fast transporting transportation.
And that bit was where that was on the last shot attempt, and it finally worked.
preserve
Hang
the
on.
body of the dead president in the boot of my car. I took the files back to my home to preserve it. On the night of your 4th anniversary, I took the body of the dead president over to where your accident was
Yeah.
and got out.
Yeah, basically, like I said in the fanfic, he actually gets out and he goes down the mountain. We tried that many times, it didn't work out. So sitting at a light would be a lot better. And he
Yeah.
just walks
Yeah.
off.
Yeah,
And he would
I can see
have
that.
basically would have killed himself anyway afterwards, but instead he does get killed by 311 in a way of committing suicide somewhat. To
Let me
escape.
guess, the car ended up exploding.
No, the car kind of, well, it did afterwards, and again, he knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But again, this was his only way out of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
I forgot how crazy this series goes on for.
With his body inside. I didn't care at that moment whether it was right or wrong. I just wanted it to end. But after an hour passed, I could hear your bell ringing and your whistle sounded out.
Oh,
I then
jeez.
walked onto the bridge and stopped halfway. After 10 minutes, I saw your red light coming out and headed towards me. I didn't move and just stared at you until I closed my eyes, opened my arms out, and said it was over for us both.
But 311 is just like basically screaming, like, get off my resting place and whatnot. She doesn't even realize it at this point. That's what
Yeah,
makes it
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. She doesn't even know it's him.
She's consumed by anger and rage.
You consumed me, taking my life and adding me to your list of victims.
Again, it just makes the story even darker and tragic for this character.
Yeah. I forgot how sad that part gets.
You shouldn't have done that. Had he been alive still, I would have taken him. He was a pathetic excuse for a man who left me and not to be recovered, and now in the afterlife, he's a pathetic excuse for a ghost. He could rot in hell for all I care and stay down there with the devil.
It was my way of trying to end my pain as well as yours. He won't bother us anymore. The sin he committed sent him down to his own demise. But even still, you've continued on haunting the bridge and trying to cross it, but still failed.
Many times I have, but I still can't. The only way for me to move on is if I can.
You're not the only one who wants to cross to the other side. We do too.
So what exactly is stopping her from crossing the entire way?
Like, pretty much it's been all like okay, so basically the reason why she's been prevented from crossing that bridge is because of all the pain and the suffering that she had to endure.
It's basically like, it's basically like what we saw in the Ghost of Rusty's Ghost. Like, he tries to get home, but he never reaches.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
Rusty's Ghost, that was one thing. Like reading from especially from old haunts from Barry Truck, for example, like his ghost, like he saved Rheneas from like being added to his collection.
Yeah.
So essentially, in a nutshell, with 311, she was just trying to move on from
she wanted to
her
so
haunted past.
badly.
Like, it's not like in the all that bad luck that she suffered was not in any way intentional. She was just trying. It was just pure coincidence. It's just
I know. It's just basically a life that
now
just
imagine
went
this.
so down.
Imagine this. If Sir Topham Hatt owned, if let's just say the Andusura was in the United States and 311 was a part of it, the Sir Topham Hatt would have easily had sent her to the works to be prepared, and sent and trying to. Heck, even had the priest, the priest of Sodor or the vicar.
Oh God, we don't. Oh God, let's not go. We don't want the priest of Sodor.
You do realize this is just a what if and not like an
I know
alternate
what you're
universe.
saying, but I know what you're trying to get at, Brandon. I'm just letting you know is that if you have intentions, if it was a whatever case, yeah, I know where you're going with this, but
okay.
A repairing vessel or whatever the case may be. But go ahead. I'm so conflicted there with that, but continue on anyways.
Anyway, but my point is, in a nutshell, yes, 311 was trying to cross the bridge. Like she didn't care what would happen afterwards, but like the ending does detail it, that it does say that yes. Well, you see, turning back from a throwback into a you see, part of it was banishing Mattel to the Shadow Realm, which I mean, because you see the season 25 that we're hoping for, like
it wasn't.
I mean,
it just wasn't.
No,
but back to what you were saying earlier with
because allegedly, apparently, from what I have heard, from what I read, even though Mattel said that All Ages Go is not in canon to the actual series,
it is not. No, it isn't.
I read somewhere that All Ages Go was going to be renewed for a quote season 26 and 27th season. That makes no sense.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't at all.
Because that doesn't make any sense. Why you say that it's not in canon, but anyway, that's a story for another day.
That's another argument for another time. But any cases, yeah. Well, of course it is, Erica. Basically, when 311 does make it across, it's basically she found the freedom she wanted for so long.
Well, basically, to me, when I first saw it, it was really heartwarming. It really was. It was awesome.
It was also really sad at the same time. Like you felt you would want to cry during that story. I almost did even.
I mean, you did.
Is she still going to attempt to take one of us with her?
I can't tell.
Do you think It is time to find peace.
Yes.
Yes, it is time.
The time has come for it to end.
It's now been 60 years since it happened.
Your stroke of bad luck.
Oh, that was you.
Mad at life.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, trying to speak in a not very good American accent.
You wanted to have peace for so long, and now we believe it's time that you take it and let go of what's happened to you in the past.
Take our word for it. Please accept.
Again, Rosie being too innocent there.
Yeah. But the voice works.
To those who I had intentionally wanted to feel what I felt.
So who is 311 talking to?
She's talking. That's in her mind. It's like what you're hearing. It's basically that's her
Yeah.
mind talking.
It's basically her mind speaking to herself, basically.
Like her conscience kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like
It's
what you're
basically,
hearing.
in other words, an inner monologue.
It's basically it is. It's like a monologue going on, but it's also what you hear in anime as well when they think to themselves in their heads.
Yeah.
Yes, like like
that's the impression. That basically I was trying to make this film like it's like an anime on wheels almost.
Thomas and Friends, the anime.
Yeah,
Now,
that's
that
good.
I would like to see.
That was
I would
that was the atmosphere and the dialogue I was trying to bring it in with this. That's why you can hear some familiar music.
That would be amazing if we saw a Thomas and Friends anime. That'd be perfect.
Yeah, Brandon, I've been going on about like they should do a Japanese Thomas humanoid anime variation of it now, targeted for the older audiences like us who have grown up with it now. And
actually,
as part of the the franchise, it would be quite funny, aimed for a different audience. And of course,
that would be interesting. Honestly,
it's funny you mention this because in 1989,
people have been doing this now in their fanfics now for years on Dear when I first came on it. So I feel like it should work, and it'd be like I don't know, Sodo High School, perhaps. Like that's where it would be on
like My Hero Academia or something.
Oh,
well. I wouldn't say on the levels of My Hero Academia. It could be on the levels of Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe, potentially. But I would say that it would also be on the levels of Yamataro Returns.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking it would be more aimed
basically, for those who don't know who Yamataro Returns is, it's basically a short film about a bear actually befriending a Japanese C-62, a faceless one who's sentient throughout through 20 years, and then let's just say the ending is very sad and emotional. Let's just say that.
I would go on to say if I had Soto as anime, I would still go for the age 15 to 18 plus rating, but it would have plenty of comedy in there, like a really hilarious, if you know what I'm saying.
So on the levels of Thomas 183, okay.
Very similar, but basically what we see
kinda,
anime today's time, and we could see some of the characters who could have references to others, but at the same time, they could wear the same livery, like their costumes, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And of course, it would be quite funny actually, and having familiar voice actors we know of voice them again, it would be refreshing. And
it would be refreshing. I mean, we could even have some mystical, magical elements. Like, how about an episode where the engines actually transform into humans for like an episode, and then they have to figure, and then by the end of it,
or in order to get to high school, they just basically just drive the engines of their models of who they are, just with no faces on them.
I guess I can see that.
Well,
quite cool. And
that's another story. But anyways, we have Sir Tom Met 5 with his bodyguards.
I don't know how I feel about them turning into humans thing though.
That would be interesting, but I don't know how that would work.
It's basically on the purpose of magic, not on the levels of Shed 17 or Project 1.
No, even though that was cool though.
No, but I still think I still laugh it back nowadays. But again, when I was doing all this stuff, I felt like that film was being made to rival me at the time.
Yes, but
it wasn't. But at the time, the fandom was doing a cool dark.
Those films were just his own personal take on like what Thomas would have been like. But the thing is, it just anyway. That's we're going off track.
The good thing is, Brandon. The way that people countered that, when they didn't like it, and they listened to, Victor's version where Edward said in the special when he says like, despite having crews and everything else, they can actually move on their own. Being
Yeah.
so I think Victor Tanzik's version of trains moving on their own with crews with them kind of actually makes more better sense, and I kind of would like to think that nowadays, from a fact, like they can actually move on their own despite quote unquote having
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to go.
That's all right. We're nearly done with this room anyway. We can only do
all
2
right.
parts.
Nice to see you there, Astro Train.
Take care, Astro.
Have fun.
See ya.
Bye.
Right.
See ya.
See ya, Astro Train.
My time to go and find a place of peace and move on.
Come on, old girl. Let's finish what you couldn't and take that last ride together.
On this day forth, the clench-field curse that was carried with me for years.
It ends forever.
Or Robbie makes it think it is. Who knows?
And she dipped.
Goodbye, Jessica.
This is great.
And we forget the fact that she killed many engines and humans.
And yet at this point, all the other engines are like supposed to be looking at each other, wondering what's going to happen now. What is it really over? Like they're just so conflicted of what just unfolded.
Damn.
Yes.
I have no idea.
Only time will tell.
They'll be basically
Until
asking
next year.
themselves, was it worth it? Did their words get to the 311's mind?
Yes.
And basically, what maybe you guys don't even know is that the manager is actually on board 311 when she does that final crossing. So that could also be a triggering factor of why.
Yes, the missing connection in a sense. But would the connection work? Would the engine finally cross the bridge after over 60 years of being haunted by a curse of unknown normality? Stay tuned next year when we react to the final part.
And how ironic, yes, Brandon. How ironic enough this takes place as well on Bonfire Night as well here in the UK, November
Yes,
the 5th.
November 55th, 2007.
17, Brandon.
That's what I said, 2007.
No, you need to get a Specsavers with your eyesight, dude. Honestly, God.
It's 17.
Yeah, that's what I said, 2017.
Oh my god.
17.
There we have Union Pacific Big Boy 4044
Just
pulling
a random engine passing by.
with an express train headed for the mainland.
Freight train.
That's a lot of coaches and trains.
That's basically a freight train coming past. We were going to have a daylight in there, but no, this engine would be good. So I just said to Chuck, just put a random engine. Don't worry, you know what to do, and he did.
The thing was that Jay was going to be in there, but his OC wouldn't work. So
we didn't, because we didn't have any of the engines from the trains forward of the daylight packing at that point. I don't think, as I can recall.
Yeah, so I don't. The only one that was viable was the DLS.
Yeah, and that was never going to work. So this is the idea we had.
I mean, never say never, said I.
Well, maybe perhaps in the remake it could, but it could be a possibility.
Yeah, maybe in the remake in 2045, like.
We'll just say whenever it starts. We'll just say whenever it does happen.
This movie.
Oh, that's an Australian 500 class that was said in the chat.
Okay, let me see in the chat. Oh, that's the Australian 500. Oh, I know what he's referring to. Yeah.
Yeah, like the engine that was passing by with that freight train, that was Australian 500. Well,
okay.
I apologize there.
Interesting.
I thought it was American. I didn't realize that.
I had no idea. Yeah.
Again, no one could. These were some of the last voice lines that were done just before I could do the final release. And I'm not going to lie to you, my voice sounded bad because I had a very bad throat infection. But
ouch!
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I spoke like I was a sick Darth Vader. But here's the funny thing: it actually made my American dub voice work brilliantly, even when I just woke up.
But the ultimate question is,
it worked, and of course the high pitching angle I had to do worked as well. So this saved me a bit of time.
Yeah, the only question is though, is that Woody right on the bridge?
No, it isn't. It's just a random cowboy
God.
dude.
Woody, seriously.
Yes, it's me, partner. This is what we did. That's how I spoke, but when I had a bad voice infection, it was even deeper. It's like, it was like this. It was like, oh, don't look at me, Brandon. Yeah, that's how it would have
That
sounded
actually
like.
does work.
So,
Don't look
so
at
if
me,
that's
Parker.
not Woody, then if that's not Woody, then is that not Buzz Lightyear in the background? Like,
No,
God.
it's
No,
not.
okay,
What's with all the Toy
No.
Story jokes?
We're not doing
the
Toy Story.
reference. It's a look at the cowboy. He kind of looks like Woody. He has the top hat. He's got the pants. He's got the shirt. He's got the mustache, the
Okay,
hair.
wait, did you just say mustache?
Yes,
Woody
he's
Woody
got
has
the
a
goatee.
mustache.
Woody doesn't have a mustache.
Oh, that must have been his evil twin then from Toy Story 5.
Ha.
Brandon, dude. Oh my god.
Okay, let's just continue.
Yeah, let's just.
Jeez. Yeah, so eventually I had to speak in other accents again to lift my voice up a bit. So I did like a high pitch and some, which worked. But again, this wasn't even scripted. I was just doing it out of random lines.
Improv.
Basically off script.
I never used a script yet.
Let's head back to camp then for a good night's rest.
Yeah, we all need it, man.
Yeah, and don't worry, I should have had a different sprite for that because I almost kind of like I was trying to speak like bloody Samuel Jackson in that one.
So is that supposed to be Siloam Hat like years later after he was?
No, it's not who you think it is.
Wait, so who are you trying to sound like?
Sir Lohan Hat, like because
not you.
No, basically in that voice, I sounded like a high-pitched variation of Samuel Jackson in that one. Because
I know who Samuel Jackson is.
Yeah,
Samuel Jackson.
Yeah, Mace Windu. I think he played Ray Arnold in Jurassic Park.
Yes, he did.
And he played Packard in Kong Skull Island.
He did. That was in Jurassic Park was the first film I ever heard him in.
And of course, Samuel L. Jackson is famous for the infamous meme, English, do you speak it?
He does, yeah.
I'm absolutely getting drenched and soaked here in this rain.
There's the one I was saying.
I hate rain too.
Well, it's only water, but if it's in a rainstorm, not a good thing. But anyways, there's the bit where I spoke like I was trying to speak like an actual American cowboy, where I spoke like too deep in my left toe. Anyways, this is where I spoke. Yeah. It's quite funny actually. I'll just replot back for a bit.
Yeah, Carter from San Juan.
Yes, that's dude. It ain't Carter, man. It's not Carter.
It could be. Who knows? But I do know.
Hey, Carter, in this case, anyone could be like freaking Alan Grant.
Yeah, he's like, hey Carter, you're in the wrong universe. Sorry about that.
Or anyone could be Izuku Midoriya.
Yep. Sorry about that, Trade Master. I got sucked into the wrong portal via teleportation again, thanks to Ginger Jesus, who's watching us right now. Sorry, I had to break the fourth wall there.
Yes,
I love some fourth wall breaking.
I mean, because you see,
don't care in this rain.
Yeah.
Well, don't look at me, partner. I wasn't so worried that we were going to get up.
You see what I mean? That's why I spoke when I had a bad throat infection.
Yes.
The Sonic Plus show.
Because I mean, once an engine attached to a train was afraid of a few drops of rain.
It went into a tunnel, it squeaked through its funnel, and wouldn't come out again.
And got sucked into the Phantom Zone.
In the Shadow
Realm.
Yeah, close enough.
The Phantom Zone is from DC. That's where Superman took Zod and the others in to imprison them.
Yes, the Shadow Realm is a dimension that Superman has powers to go to.
Maybe it's time to come out of the tunnel, Henry, if you know what I mean.
Everybody's having fun here. Yeah, Christian. Oh God, let's not go there when Thomas blows his staff, bro. That's nostalgia.
That is fun. That is a lot of fun to go back to.
Oh Jesus, Christian, you're having a little bit of fun. You are. If you want to, we actually have a bit of space. If you want to join,
Thomas, Sir Topham Hatt has been murdered again.
Yes, I realize that. I didn't.
Again, you can hear my voice
Parents,
there.
Bertram is off the rails again.
Oh God.
Here we go
Like I
again.
said before, that was me like saying, "Well, don't look at me today. I'm talking like this and that." I mean, again, I had a bad
Well,
time
don't look at me.
but it worked. But it worked. I will have to say that was probably the best thing about the entire thing. Anyway, at least I could speak American with a bad throat infection, not able to talk properly. At least it worked. At least it worked out, partner. Give me a high five.
Okay.
All right, let's continue.
Just joking. No, I'm just joking. Just sorry, man. I just love having.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, we're just scribbling over
Let's
ourselves
continue.
for some fun. That's what
Yeah,
happens. In
we're
this
almost
thing.
done.
Besides, I ain't no weather expert.
You're no shit.
Yeah, ain't no weather expert.
Yeah, I don't know what made me just say that. I was like, I ain't no damn words expert or whatever. I was like, I just said it off script, like without saying anything. I was just going off randomly.
That honestly sounds like something I would say.
It was quite funny actually, and ironically enough, when I actually said that, it was literally drenching out there with rain when I was doing the recording. I was like, and then I said off camera, I was like, oh shit, it is raining. Maybe I am a goddamn weather expert after all. The shame I didn't make that into the bloopers, man. That would have been brilliant.
Oh, we should have had bloopers for both series.
I would have done, but we didn't have any at the time. That's the thing.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, here she comes.
Oh, hell yeah. Classic music.
And of course, that was when we thought shit got real.
Yes.
Because of the music.
Hey guys, did you just hear that?
Hey guys, did you see that?
Did you hear that?
No! That's a ghost of Black Wolf Mountain!
Yeah.
Take cover!
Gotta go fast.
Okay, guys. I couldn't scream out like I could because of my bad throat infection, so I had to try my best to make it as dramatic as possible.
Yeah.
Oh, God, United Engines of America, I thought you wouldn't come back again. Damn you. Sorry, that's somebody else, so yeah. Wait, oh,
Wait, why are you saying, oh, damn?
Well done, Christina.
Oh, jeez, that is a good joke. All of this. That is funny, Christian.
Oh, yes, Oh, hello, United States of America. How you doing?
That's somebody else oh boy.
What happened?
Dude, I don't know.
Did something bad happen before with him?
I don't know. It's just I just don't want to
it's all good.
Okay.
There was just a misunderstanding a long time ago. It kind of got out of hand.
That guy there is the one. That guy, not that bloke there, is him. The one carrying the rail sledgehammer. He was the one who says, "Oh my God, no, it can't be." So I had to try and put my voice around. So I was trying to make everyone sound different.
Oh, okay.
No, it can't.
No!
Yeah, I actually sounded silly when I look back at that. It was probably the only thing I didn't like about it, but hey, I couldn't help it. I wasn't feeling too well when I did that.
Yeah.
And in your notice, 311's not in her demonic form either, so...
Yeah.
But they think it is.
Yeah.
How's the Black Wolf Mountain? Hurry, everybody! Take cover!
That sounded so similar. I thought the whistle got louder at first.
As the halfway point still going, and then they see the unthinkable.
Come on, they can make it. And they made it. Hell yeah.
She made it.
Yay.
Exported. Finally, the
You
video
did it,
exported.
Jessica. You did it.
Yeah,
Hell
but they don't believe what they've just seen.
Yes, the
Again, they're
5 men just couldn't
traumatized,
believe.
but they're not. But they're
And
traumatized.
now Jessica has dipped from the world or something. I don't know.
Yes, the 5
Hey.
men that saw that night couldn't
4
believe
men.
what they had seen.
Although, as to quote the phrase from Josh Turner's song, let me rephrase that. They kind of clinged to their father and called his holy name, but they didn't go right.
Cling
Along
to
with
the
it.
Father and His holy
That's him talking there. It's like, guys, do you know what we just saw? Literally, I don't know why, but it sounds hilarious looking back. But he's the one who's supposed to be traumatized.
And don't go riding on that long
that
black
road.
train.
Believe it.
Yeah, tell me about it, boy. Did our eyes play a trick on us?
They didn't play a trick on you, lads.
Yeah, he's supposed to sound
Yes.
like an LP blog. Like, tell me about it, boy. Did y'all eyes play a trick or see the unthinkable? I might be blind.
I think we better tell the boss back at Canton what we just saw. Otherwise, no one will believe us, and we'll be a laughing stock on this railroad. Good idea, partner. Let's get off of Black Wolf Mountain. I don't think I'm ever going to come back here ever again. After what we just saw.
Yeah.
Me and you both, buddy.
Yeah, so they basically believe what they've just seen. They're
Yeah.
like, and then they would never, and to be quite honest, they would tell everything back at Campton headquarters, and of course, they would never work again. So their fate is, well, as you know, they were spared.
Yeah.
Spared, but they didn't realize.
Yeah. They didn't know she wasn't wanting to kill anyone this time.
No, but they
Well,
didn't
basically,
understand. They
she
know
moved
that.
on from her. She moved on from like her curse, basically, like the curse that entrenched her invitedness for the many years. And there we have, yay, another ad. Let's listen to it. It's so educational.
Ads can go die in fire.
Well, that's the thing.
Okay, we might end it with this one instead. So this is when we discover the origin of,
Yes,
of 311. A little bit of a twist in the story.
Yes, the Soda origins of the end of this story.
CFW origin.
Because
Now this bit, I'm not gonna lie to you, but this was extremely fun to put together. It kind of wrapped up. It was the last thing that was missing because at the time I did this, I was like, okay, I've got to figure out like, okay, we've done the build up, we've done the climax. The question was, what was the origin of 311? Who was she prior before the hand? And that was kind of what, a lot of guys didn't, I mean, the team didn't quite like the idea of this, but I did convince them in the end it's going to work out, So it was like, we've done the story so far, but we need to figure out like somewhat of a, like a brief origin story of who it was beforehand, because basically you do need a bit of a backstory, of before what they came now. It's kind of like how Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader, and we saw what he looked like before becoming the mechanical half man, half machine that he was. So that was the idea for this bit here. And we would finally, of course, when the manager said he had the files of 311, I remembered about it. I was like, so what was in them? What did they contain? And then that's what this happens at this point. And of course, we would also get word about Standard Signalman, if you remember, we saw in the beginning.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah, and we learned from him as well of like, there's more to what we realized. So again, there's a connection. Of course, Jason's doing a good job here as we continue on. Using 587's high pitch, 765's high pitch for Jason because it worked.
With the passing of October, the month of November was over.
As you can see, he can handle freight very easily.
Yeah, very, very easily.
The weather
And again, using the 1218's wheel whistle.
was clear.
It's so weird to see that train next to James. Holy crap.
Well, basically, as you know, the Americans and Brits love chatting, and you could say James had who was intrigued by how strong the 1218 class were, let alone, he was learning from something from his American counterparts. Off camera, what you can't see is that David's pulling a big, a pretty big coal train once again. Basically, James is kind of like got it all set up for him, and they're trying to play a trick on him, and he's just. Off camera, they're trying to do it all over again. And David's like, I don't think so, boys. You don't want to mess with a massive loco like me.
Yeah,
I can see that happening.
And that's what they did.
The stupid trucks learned that the hard way.
Yeah, just be glad David didn't rip him to shreds.
Yeah, because he could do that very.
We know he would do that easily.
He would, yeah. Just be thankful it's not the big boy, otherwise it would have been over within a millisecond.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. Now you can understand why I didn't use him for this.
Speaking of big boy, that reminds me of those really old trains videos where it was like the encounters. of that guy.
Indeed.
Except
That's
they're not.
right.
I got so upset when they were deleted off YouTube.
They did.
But I did remake one on my channel that was
And of
really
course,
accurate to the first encounter video. And it was a pain
which
to do,
one?
but it was worth it. It was the first encounter where they're at the Steamworks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Again, here's the
recreated it so well. I got faces like from the Trains game, but just PNGs, and put them in Roblox, and that's how I did that.
Oh, I see. Again, there's Jessica. 600. I meant having a meeting with Gordon, crossing past. Again, helping out with the natural trains. And at this point, we were using the K and L at the time, so we stopped using the older version because that was when I think the model at this point came out. Yeah. So we updated 600 for that.
Louise?
Yeah. And here's a 600 class again. Some more double heading going on, except we've got Ariel and Luke double heading together on a parallel one with Flying Scotsman. But in the background is actually Edward on his way back to
okay.
Vickers Town.
Yeah.
They're basically having a race up to Barrow.
Ah.
Oh, there he is.
I have to admit, I had a lot of fun doing that, putting the parallel runs in.
Yeah.
And this was really clever how I put this all together. We had a lot of fun with this, and again, we had to figure out the final day with like montaging and whatnot. But this is again, I really still think it was an honor doing this. So like, it was worth it, despite I was just about 2 years in at this point when we did part 14 at this point.
Oh,
that's when the cracks began to appear more. Again, post-production was not good after this. Like I said before, there was a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I know the feeling about a lot of pressure.
Oliver.
Again, everybody didn't want this. Nobody wanted this to end. They wanted this to be keeping going at the time. But at this point, we were close. But like I said, I had to, it was. I remember this at the last moment and got it all ready, and I was thinking this will work. So there was a lot of additional lines written in this one. To kind of, this was like the final tie. This was like the final tie in a way of 311's origin. And then I almost forgot something else, which is why part 15 had to follow, because I remembered what was the reason when Louise accidentally mentioned 311, and then I forgot that we didn't do a flashback with those two, with 1218 and 600. So again, that's another reason why a lot of miscommunicating and a lot of unnecessary falling out happened again. It worked, but eventually it made sense afterwards, because I totally had forgotten. I did a flashback for Jason and Luke, and we did it for Ariel, but I forgot about 600 and 1218. So I thought, okay, we need them to have one. So what was their encounter like? So again, there was more I had to figure out to make sense in the plot story. Otherwise, if I continued on like it wouldn't have made too much sense afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Emily, Thomas, Gordon, and Duck were talking with them.
So then, have you really enjoyed your time on this railway?
Oh, yes, indeed.
Apparently, what's funny about this now is that when you look at these workmen, they're doing a good job. But that dude over there is absolutely getting his ass burnt.
Yeah, what is he doing?
Yeah, where is he?
He's sitting on top of Jason, but the fact is, Luke is blowing so much steam, he's literally getting barbecued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, he is.
Yeah. I'll have my lunch steamed, I guess.
Jesus,
Oh, God, really?
He's basically cooking him alive. But at the time, I didn't realize this until a few years back. It's become quite of a funny thing now.
Yeah.
But yeah, hindsight's 2020.
I can see memes of that being made.
We thank your controller. Almost reminds us of our own back home in the States.
We thank your controller very much for allowing us to come visit you. Maybe one day you could come over to visit us and see what our railways are like.
Take the Strasbourg Railroad, for example, boys.
Yep.
Yep.
The road to paradise.
But I haven't
That's
never seen it in person though.
That's where Ariel comes from.
Yeah.
I've only seen the dummy model.
What do you mean?
The dummy Thomas model.
Oh yeah, I've actually been to 2 days out with Thomas's.
Indeed.
I wish I could see the Strasbourg one though, but I've only seen it on the DVD.
Well, 2 years ago, or 10 years
Like
ago,
I've seen it on. I've seen the, I've seen the dummy Thomas in person.
Yeah. I have a picture, and it's like he's staring into my
American.
soul or something.
That's very nice of you to say, but I prefer if we stay here at home. Besides, I know when Flying Scotsman did back in 1969, and he never made it back after staying here for 3 years before he was rescued in 1973.
Who knows, Gordon? I, for one, would really love to go there someday.
I too wouldn't mind. It would make a nice change.
Don't worry about what Tom is saying. Like, I wouldn't mind going there either. It wasn't a take on like when Thomas wanted to see the world and when everybody was just tired. It was not a reference to that.
Yeah, this was like way before that, right?
That was like,
this was like early 2010s, I think.
Yeah, this was like no, it wasn't a shot on that. This is like he's seen the world, he's been there, but he's never actually been to America. But again, trying to blur the lines of reality and fiction together at this point.
Yeah.
Hey, for sure.
Thomas in America much?
Pardon?
Oh god.
Thomas in America much? Did that one video Diesel D199 did?
I mean, it was based off of the other video that was actually him in America.
That is, I will admit, it was quite hilarious.
Yeah. I could see him being a voice actor in here.
Indeed.
Yeah. Diesel D199, and yeah, I love his videos. They're hilarious.
It would work so well.
I mean, he's evolved so much, but it's funny when you look back to the early stuff. Like, how has he evolved now? So almost animated. Like, how did he do it now? It's like
like using.
How did he get the technology and the money to do it? I don't know how.
Yep. I can imagine it being a nightmare to get voice actors for this
How many
stuff.
times I came back to Sodor for another visit in, say, maybe a few years or so?
And that was going to happen, because we were going to bring some other Americans over, and bring some of them back. That was the intent,
Yeah.
Got me too, Luis. Hauling long coal trains here when compared to those back at home are almost easy to handle, and those trucks kept on trying many attempts to play tricks on me, and one by one they all got the same result from learning the hard way when trying to mess with the Y6A class.
Well, that's where
then those some trucks got wrecked.
He did. He didn't break them, but he definitely taught them a lesson, like, gave them severe axle pain, like there was nothing.
Yeah.
But, they're tiny. Yeah, those trucks are tiny compared to what coal hoppers are like.
But then again, like
America,
I said,
since railways in America, it's like in America, it's like the trains are much bigger
and heavier.
You can clearly see how big David is compared to, say, Gordon.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But then again, he isn't as big as, the big boy or whatnot, but he was one of the biggest. And he was basically, although much like the Union Pacific, which had the big boy, the Norfolk and Western class did have bigger engines in the shape of the enormous Y6Bs, which were built for heavier coal traffic.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they may look similar to 1218's class, but they had bigger fireboxes and they were much bigger and and stronger as well. But 1218 was considered was at the time the strongest and the largest. In terms of the most strongest in strength compartments. In comparison, in comparison, 1218 and the big boy are the two strongest of their respective railroads. But to me, it doesn't really matter who's got the most strength and powerfulness or whatever. I mean,
I love seeing Big Boy.
I mean, I can get it. I can understand in terms of rivalry wise, even the steam era, which I can understand. But nowadays, I'm just like a neutral, respectful railway fan who just that's just how I am.
Speaking of Big Boy, do you guys by any chance remember a video with Big Boy coming to Sodor and then Thomas comes across him flying?
Yeah, that video. I've seen that before.
I remember that, and I was just scratching my head.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah,
why is he flying?
Yeah, what in Shine Time Goldust name is he doing?
Yeah, and then we saw those encounter videos, and then they just came up
But
with
it
that
does
idea.
work. I will admit, it does kind of work out. I mean, I will admit, like I said, I've seen other guys who have used Big Boy once. There was one show he was doing, and it was okay, no problem. And again, creativity can be a bit strange in ways, but at least you're trying to entertain your audiences.
Yeah.
Again, ever since this happened, other guys did it after me. Afterwards, Victor Tantic's been doing it, and all the other guys are doing it. So there's no problem. Like, I think, what I'd say think is nowadays, back then, people just did not understand creativity. And remember, this is a trains video game, and everybody else is doing their own content. It doesn't have to be real. It can be sometimes being unrealistic can be even
just as
better.
fun.
Yeah, it's just using your imagination, like what you envision it to be, and that's what the fandom did not. Well, I think they did recognize it, but by using real life trains like this, I think many guys didn't quite understand or may have forgotten deliberately back then. But nowadays, there's no backlash. Because like I said, when I did part 1 and 2 and 3 of this, that all stopped because they all thought, "Oh, well, I'm just using them on routes they can go on." That was intentionally the case until I figured out they could actually fit underneath tunnels and go around some curves that they can go on.
Yep.
So that eventually did stop. I was able to prove something to them that I don't know how I managed to get to stop. I'm just glad it did.
Yeah.
Because I really was a bit, back then, kind of a little egotistic, thinking, "What are these sons of bitches thinking? Have they forgotten this is just a trains video game? It doesn't have to be real. Just have some fun."
After all the comments I've seen of people acting like this is weird.
And this has kind of like been refreshing for again, the idea was to have the Americans come over. It's basically the Brits of Sodor learning from their American counterparts, and we do. We Brits love what you guys have, and you love what we have. Again, similar. It's basically similar enthusiasm to railroading almost.
Yeah.
And that's all. And that was another key factor of why I brought these engines over with the others at the time. So Thomas and friends could learn something from their real life American counterparts. Again, that was another thing.
Yeah.
By the way,
it was almost like you could almost say it was like combining Sam 1 and the TVs and the Thomas Trains community together almost.
Yeah, and it looks a lot better using the RWS models instead of the TV series ones.
It did, yeah. In my universe, the Thomas stuff was a combination of TVS and RWS. Mainly set in a TVS universe, but had railway content and a bit of CGI meshed up in there as well. So it was like a super mega hybrid. In this universe, the Americans and Australians and whatnot could actually come here to visit. So that's why we use this big roundhouse.
Yeah, and if this were to get a remake, it'd be cool to see the TV series models, but I like the RWS ones because it fits more with what's going on.
Well, you just never know. I could do that still. Gordon definitely could, but the thing is, it depends on what I could do with him. I could use Cam Scott's version of him instead of, or I could use Thomas's TVS 06 or his other version, his 3D version of him from Sodor workshops or whatnot.
It's your choice. You can do what you want.
But that's the difficulty of choosing what models you want, and that's the difficulty I have now with my rebooting ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's the thing I find frustrating because I want it to look perfect to what's visioning in my head, and then it just goes terribly wrong.
At times that used to happen to me, and now it doesn't really anymore because now I'm a lot better at what I was doing before than I am now.
But what I meant was if I did do it like this, it would be very difficult. Like I said, I just like it to be perfect and easy to use. That's the problem I'm having at this point. Oh, dang it. Sorry about that, lads.
Oh, jeez.
What did the manager do with the files that contained about 311?
Yeah, what was in those files?
Yeah, that's the reason why I put this in as well, because we're going to learn the true identity of who 311 was prior. So that's why the manager, quote unquote, saved the files.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we also discover the motive of why he did,
why it happened.
why the manager ended up like quote unquote murdered the president of CSW. You know, and of course Stan the Signal, as we saw in the beginning. Well, we didn't see him afterwards, but you know the Fat Control explains it afterwards, quote unquote.
Yeah.
We may never know what it was in them since manager didn't mention anything. I think I do.
The engines looked over to see the Fat Controller standing nearby.
And don't worry, don't worry, guys. He did not come in. Don't worry, the Fat Controller didn't use like his teleportation magic, as Brandon will tell you.
Oh God.
He didn't use the Infinity Stones either, so don't worry.
Are you sure
he's not the Slender Man?
No, it's the Slender Engine that's more important.
He used an Ender Pearl.
For Halloween, I got a call from Stan the Signalman. He came to my office and we had a long conversation.
Yep, and at one point I was just joking in the fandom with this one. It's like, he came to my office and we absolutely beat the shit out of each other over nothing.
Oh God.
It's just like, I just love taking the mickey on this guy's voice. I mean, he's someone we don't talk about anymore.
Yeah.
But it was just catchy because when I was doing the editing, it was just funny when I was just like mimicking at this, and when at the time when whilst I was watching, I just couldn't help it. It was just fun in the editing sequence doing this. But yeah, the lines would be very different, and I definitely would, if I did do this again, I definitely have Brandon recast it as the Fat Controller, because lately he and Victor and others are doing very, very good.
Yeah.
But it's unlikely I'll ever get Victor back again. You know? So Brandon's my backup guy I can fall back with.
He told me that he saw an engine that his great-grandfather once drove back in the States, and it turned out that it was 311, the ghost engine that we've been seeing. Stan then gave me a folder that contained the surviving files of the locomotive, and since you asked what was in them, I can tell you.
What did they contain, sir?
Everyone believes the engine was built in late 1949.
As you can see in the background, the guy who's on Jason's thing, he's absolutely getting barbecued and roasted. No one's even paying attention.
Yeah, no one cares.
Again, I'll have my lunch steamed.
Indeed, and it's like on the thing. He's like just hanging on for dear life. He's like, guys, how long are we going to be filming? I'm getting roasted back here.
He's
Don't
getting
worry.
roasted.
Just behind the scenes bloopers, and then people
Getting
actually say that.
steamed by an engine.
Eventually, he would take a super ice bucket challenge to be cooled off.
Oh, gosh.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that
would be funny.
I know. I know. Who can forget when we did that?
And now he's got like boils all over his body.
Indeed.
But the file shows that it wasn't. 311 was actually built in 1926 by Baldwin as Frisco 1513.
Yep, that's the original number she was. And of course, again, this is what we're seeing in the files, and of course, some brief filming as well. What was recovered. And again, I was using some real info there just briefly, because again, what the Fresno Railway the Fresno Railroad were doing at the time, what these classes were built for.
Yeah.
The St. Louis San Francisco Railway to handle heavy passenger and freight services along the Frisco Railway's eastern and western divisions. It was in August 1949 that she was sold off to work on the Canton Southwestern Railroad and renumbered for the one she has now. And that's where the problems with the Jinx started. She was then sold to serve on the Clinchfield Railroad 5 months later to replace 280. During her time there, the CR...
And just to let you guys know, out of all the filming we did prior before the credits, this was actually the last shot done.
Oh.
And
that's
yeah,
a new one.
as you can see, this is the CSW management, and they actually the Clinchfield roster had a sharing contract with the Harlem Valley Company, so 311 would work for both of them. Hence why she was in different directions.
Yeah.
Despite being CRR.
had a shared contract with the Highland Valley Railroad, and sometimes 311 would work there too. and despite the jinx that was cursing her, she worked for 8 years until being taken off the clinch roster in late 1956.
And of course, in the background, that was Louise, who we saw passing by after, in that last shot.
Yeah.
And that was when the manager stepped in and saved 311 and brought her back to work on the CSW.
And that was prior to, the whole accident that had happened. That was just before,
Yeah.
the accident. So basically, that is like the year before.
After the fatal accident in 1957, the president ordered all files of the locomotive to be destroyed. But thanks to the manager, he saved the most important files of 311.
That's great.
But only what, sir? Only
W manager.
honored the president of CSW by shooting him.
And yes, and that's what we did see in the flashbacking, but we didn't know the motive until this point. Again, I had to remember what was the motive and this and that, and of course the Fat Controller would tell us. Although I did have to admit he didn't play much of a role as much as we would hoped, but again, I felt like he needed to. Because I felt like how can you not have a movie without, the Northwestern Railway's chief in command?
Yeah.
Stan told me he did it because the files of 311 contained everything from her design
still going.
to her career as well as biography. He was trying to get rid of them to make it look like she was never even in existence, and to keep the Canton Southwestern Railroad from being a bad reputation, which it was getting at the time.
So now you can understand the reason why everything played out like it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. L president and W manager.
Indeed.
Like a Twitter user, but whatever.
Trains Alexander Studies is talking. And yes, they are two different locomotives, Christiana. Yes, she probably would be useful train Alex. Indeed, yes.
My goodness. That's just so terrible.
You can say that again, Emily.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I don't blame the manager for what he did. Besides, even if it was wrong, he gave what the CSW president deserved. Surely by now, CXX Transportation has a much better one that knows how to run the routes better than he ever could and respects his fleet of engines, whether they're steam or diesels.
Again, that's just Jason telling his part, Even though we all know that killing is never always a good option, but at this point, as we argued before, what was done was done, and it can't be turned back. Even though I did get some criticizing comments in the comments below, if you want to check it out for yourself after that.
I remember something.
Springfield 311 started out before she had the number, but I thought that.
It looks like the story of the Quinchfield curse was not at all told to us the right way.
And of course, that's a season 5 reference when Percy went on the turntable.
Oh, that's cool.
And here's Percy.
You look pleased, Percy.
It's been a while since we've seen him.
Yeah, again, Percy had a small role in this. Again, and then he's the one who brings the good news again. And as you can tell down below, again, I did get some good comments, and but then again, there were some others who, did, explain why, why others were having their own opinions about, why did the president, be murdered and killed off like this. They had their own opinions about it, but still.
Yeah.
Anyway,
There we go. Sorry, guys.
Have you guys
seen Internet.
Rescue?
I don't know. We're nearly done anyways.
Guys, I've got something for you all to hear.
Yeah.
You're not going to believe this, but
It
happened. Huh? What do you mean it happened? Wait, hang on a minute. You're not saying, yes, it's in the papers, and everyone's reading it. It
happened 2 nights ago. A small group of workers were inspecting the Miller River Bridge when they saw the ghost of the 311. They saw what happened when she crossed the entire bridge and vanished on the other side.
Wait, y'all mean to tell me she finally made it across? But that's impossible. Since her accident, she only made it to the midpoint of the bridge, the point many railroaders and locomotives said she would never cross again.
Yeah. As we know, 311 tried time and time again and failed over and over.
I can't tell whether to believe this or not.
Likewise, Gordon. The Master and his men could not explain what they saw up there, but they knew they saw the ghost of the 311 make it all the way across the bridge with their own eyes.
Look, it's not like we don't believe you. We're just trying to figure out just why after 6 decades 311 finally made it across from where she had her accident.
It's our time
Is it obvious?
I know.
Yeah.
They just they didn't expect you to believe it happened or not because they weren't there to say it.
Yeah.
Now that I heard it, it seems that she finally ended what she kept failing to do. Don't you remember what the manager said? Let's finish what you couldn't and take the last ride together.
Oh yeah, I remember, David. Now that I think about it, what happened at the sheds that night when 311 was here with us and left? That might have been what caused her to make it across the bridge.
Now, I'm starting to think the same thing.
And the driver, unfortunately, was going to be super splintered and burned to a cinder when this one was over and done with. Yes, I know. It's just so it's just too funny to ignore.
Yeah. I'm surprised that it doesn't even make his clothes catch on fire.
I know. He wasn't burnt to a cinder.
At last, then.
Again, another thing that is for sure, the Clitchfield curse is over.
Yay.
Thomas?
Gordon doesn't seem too obvious, but then again, who knows?
Be sure of it, Gordon. After what me and Edward said to her, 311 left us, saying that it all ends once and for all. And from what Percy's told us, that's exactly what happened.
Again, I had to do those effects again because, the lack of face usement.
Indeed, she's now at rest and finally moved on. Though, I do hope the same can be said for Timothy someday.
Too bad it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. Or will it?
I do like how it's in the same continuity yet, though.
Of course, the continuity was the strategy of what we needed.
Yeah, and the way that we get to see Timothy in here too, I thought was pretty cool.
Well, then again, I had to put him back in afterwards, although this was the only time afterwards he would be seen, despite being shoehorned in the other parts with Edward and
Wait, what? Timothy was there?
You know what,
in a few scenes.
If you didn't see it in part 3 or 2 or whatever, you need to go back and rewatch.
Oh.
There were like a few nightmare sequences.
Yeah, it was basically had to be shown because the audience wanted to see more of it.
Yeah, and now he's usually just in like parodies and remakes of scenes from that series.
Yeah, these damn ads. Yeah, we'll just end it here, and then, do you know what? I think we might as well just end the rest of it afterwards. What do you guys think?
So far,
Sure.
I love it. I love it.
Let's just end. I think we might as well end it with part 4 because we need to beat the timeline before Halloween comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We might as well.
Anyway. Parts left, so
we got one more to go. Like I said, it's this bit here was the only bit afterwards because Timothy was only supposed to appear after when 311 unexpectedly woke him up, and then in that nightmare sequence, and then this only afterwards. Yeah. If in the remake version, it probably would have been that way anyway.
Yeah.
How dare 311 wake up Timothy?
Well, because he was on a deserted part of the island, and he went past his resting place. That kind of what woke him up.
Yeah.
Again, I had a lot of fun doing this. This is when my voice was a lot better, and I could finally get back into doing Timothy.
Yeah.
Again, the echoes in the background, as you can hear, were from the audio of Ghost Train. It's supposed to resemble, Timothy's ghost presence and him using different whistles besides using his classic one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I finally found the sound effect after so long because I was looking for where I could find it, and then I found it in like the audio for the book, and then I found it there, and I was so happy I did.
Yeah, even though it is that ghosty, but I can definitely tell it was during a daytime event on a coastline beach or wherever it was. But
Yeah.
it still worked. And again, it was just perfect for Timothy's ghost in the distance. Like
his shadow appearance, I think, is what it's called.
Yeah, his shadow as well as his. Even when he's in the background, when you can't hear him, like you can feel his presence. Or he's coming closer. You can hear when you hear that whistle coming in. He's just like you just hear him. You just feel his presence.
I remember that line that Timothy does back in the first movie, saying something like "children" or something.
Oh yeah, that was so scary.
Yeah, I know. Some people are taking the wrong idea about it now. But the thing was, because I used it from a trailer that I saw where one guy did like a tease ghost trailer of Timothy being happy and this and that. And he just like jump scares you,
Yeah.
Because basically Timothy loved train enthusiasts, young and old, but the children would just adore who he was because
kind of like the Trevor kind of thing.
Children.
Yes, I
like children. I like children.
Yes, he's basically
was that Timothy saying that?
Yeah,
and Timothy was saying that in the trailer, and it was from that trailer I found.
No, like I mean when Timothy goes, I like children. Yeah. I like children.
Yeah, he says that in
children.
Part 3. Yeah, he says that in Part 3 and like one of the deleted scenes.
Yeah, and it was just I know people take the wrong idea nowadays about it, but again, it was just something to for a jumpy, scary, creepypasta thing I was doing it.
Yeah, because
it's not like it's like the wrong way. Okay.
I think it's creepy. I think it's creepy, and I like it that way because it was
scary. Yeah, but why does he do? Why does he say that?
It's because he's like having fond, good memories of
like when he used to see children when he was still alive.
Yeah, like they cared and loved about him, and they.
Or does he like to scare them?
Well, and then all of a sudden he becomes this. It's like again creepypasta style, and then he's like
the sick and twisted freak.
He's basically like at this point he became basically like a Freddy Krueger on wheels.
I guess you could say that. Yeah,
that was kind of the intention of bringing his character to life, almost. Okay.
Yeah, and when I first saw that series, I instantly got hooked to it when I was young. It scared the crap out of me though, and that was fine.
Well, it was intent. That was the intent at the time. Okay.
Yeah, and I appreciate it for that.
Yeah, I wasn't like intentionally trying to scare people to death, but like I said, it wasn't for the faint-hearted.
But just for a few jump scares in there.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my god, where did you see that coming?
Yeah, like when I saw him like racing towards Percy and Toby, that was crazy as hell.
Oh yeah, it was.
In episode 3. That might be my favorite episode, probably.
In part 3 of the film, when you first hear his voice, I know.
Yeah, like you see his shadow appearance in the distance.
Yeah,
all of you will be sent to your graves.
Yeah, that was basically an original idea. Like he had basically to explain it, Timothy had like 3 forms of himself. Like how does he appear? Like how does it go? It's like a cycle. Like the first off is like you get a cold feeling, and then the rain or mist will come down, and then you hear him puffing, and then you hear that whistle coming out.
Classic sound effect.
And then you wonder where he is. You don't know, but you know he's there. And then if you're lucky enough, you could see his red eyes, and if you catch a glimpse of his shadow form, that means he's coming out. Like that's him. Like that's the first form phase of him, and then if he does emerge,
then you see a classic look.
Yeah, you see his classic silver look with his number on him. He's got the red eyes. He's just normal. That's his.
And his third form is him being like completely normal, like when he shows the flashback.
That's basically when he does the infamous screaming and he has like blood casting on his face. That's his fault. That's his ultimate, ghost train form.
Yeah.
Timothy wants all of the EV2 engines erased and gone.
So basically, he was like, how many times was the last one that was gone? That's why he wanted them. I mean,
yeah,
because he felt lonely.
There's another E2. He's gonna go after that one, I think.
Well, if it came to OC characters, that doesn't actually compute. Okay.
Okay.
That was only the original batch that were built.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
Again, you can hear the whistling in the background. It's like
that sound
resembling where
effect is
Timothy is.
awesome.
And anybody that's living in the abandoned area, they would constantly hear this over and over.
What is that?
What was that?
What was that?
What was that?
Okay, now it's not happening. Okay, there it is. Never mind.
Oh, that was a bit strange. Hang on. Hey guys, is it me or do you feel like we've been on for more than 2 hours?
Yeah, 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Look, I thought we were on longer than.
Like longer than 3?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's strange.
Very.
Because last time I checked, I thought we were still under an hour and whatnot.
Oh.
That's weird.
Yeah. After this, I'm probably going to fix a description on a video of a remake I did by crediting you because I remade part 7.
We might as well. Oh, Wesley.
Sorry, I was on my phone.
Is that what we were hearing that was vibrating?
I think so. So I'm on my laptop again.
Oh, okay.
Fair enough. Again, sorry about that, guys. I don't know what the hell that was, but
that was weird.
Yeah, really weird.
Again, that's strange. I really thought we were on for more than 2 hours when I last checked the time limit. Again, guys, like I said, the guys that were living there, that were here.
Yeah, like the abandoned mine or something.
Like all this here, like if anybody that was living there, they would constantly be hearing Timothy's
that
line.
sound effect over and over.
Yeah. Well,
at first, I thought Timothy was hiding in the scrap around outside of the scrapyard or something.
It only happens during the month of October, though. That's the only thing.
Yeah, that I think is pretty cool. Instead of just him being there constantly.
Well, he's there constantly, but sometimes at night time when you don't see him, they just don't know he's there. If there's anybody if any explorers will go down there, they just don't know he's even there.
And you just hear that. And now I can finally use that sound effect for videos.
It's time to hear his reaction to that information.
There he is.
Our boy.
He's the OG.
Glitchfield 311. The famous ghost of the Black Wolf Central finally let go of her past. To think that she was able to do it and finally get peace upon her.
It's outrageous!
Cry about it.
Yeah, cry about it, Timothy.
He's not really crying about it, he's just pissed. It's like, it's outrageous.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. What is that face from?
I can't remember right now.
Oh, you mean like the animated one?
Yeah.
Probably he made it.
That face right there.
He probably made it. He probably customized it after seeing the original one.
She almost had victory in sight. Even my own brother feared her. Yes, Thomas was afraid of her, and she saw the fear in his eyes. I sensed that 311 was so close to taking him, and Soda would have lost its #1 engine. That would have also brought me some closure. But no, somehow that ghost not only spared my brother, but the other engines too. Soon, Thomas, the day of when your end on this railway will come.
No, it won't, Timothy.
He's so
because
convinced.
the Train Saga's canceled or something.
Never get to see the light of day. Always remember, brother, our story, our past, and our confrontations will be laid to rest. And once you're
himself.
joining me and the rest of our brothers and sisters, the island and its grow, its reputation, and its legacy will be shattered, and you will soon be forgotten, courtesy of the
Ghost Train of Soldor!
Oh god. Seeing him without eyebrows is weird.
I think he's a little jealous because he still can't find peace or something.
As you can tell by the laughing as well, I really was into it, and my eyes actually rolled into the back of my head when I was doing it.
Wow.
That was Jungle Voice then?
Yeah, it just goes to show how much the character really runs in me when I'm so into it.
Yeah.
And of course, here's some more montages. We had to do this anyway, just to pick up the pace.
Just for simplicity.
Mr. Handel and Peter Sam.
Yeah, oh, hang on, we're going to add playing in a few minutes.
Oh, here we go again.
Ah, shoot.
Here we go again.
Oh god.
Well, at least not all of them aren't too bad. Again, I had a lot of fun putting this together.
I really like Timothy for some reason.
There we go. Like you said here, like this is like TBS combined with Railway Series.
With Railway Series.
Again, that's kind of like how I'd like to vision Sodal to be.
That'd be cool.
And there's Jason again. Again, we started filming on New Era at this
Oh,
point.
look, there's Lady.
Yep, Lady, and of course, Mr. Ortez's old OC. Jason's taking another local train with no problem, but I can't remember who that was in the background. Again, at this point, just keep in mind our OCs are there. The other engines just don't know us.
Yeah.
I
think this is a new era.
It is, yeah. We were testing it out at this point.
That's probably Edward in the background.
It is. And this was one of the last shots ever. And there's Alice and Oliver and Luke's finally pulling a train. That was another OC who I sadly lost contact with, whose owner just hates me. Shambles, really, because we were very close.
Yeah.
He was helping me.
I don't use OCs in my videos anymore.
Yeah, well, it's because he was helping with the rest of the effects. And just to leave you a note, that was one of my OCs there making a cameo.
Oh.
Yeah.
One of my
I
OCs.
don't use my OC in videos anymore after I didn't really see a purpose.
Again, the music I'm using was one of my favorite animes.
There's Percy and Daisy.
The music I think is on top notch. Like nothing could top this.
Again, Oliver doing his normal routine run.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Toby making his last cameo.
Yep.
Oh.
The fact that Toby didn't even get dialogue in this movie, though.
Well, like I said, he needed a break from what he had in the last movie.
Oh. Yeah, good point, because he did have a lot in there.
He did, yeah. And of course, here, this was one of those few times where you put a sound effect over and the train goes in normal motion in rhythm. So that was really good. The sound effect that Gordon's puffing to is actually an original Grizzly
I'll be right
beat.
back.
So it's normal, and it was just perfect with his movement.
Yeah.
And I used his TV series whistle for that, so it just worked.
Yep.
And of course, another parallel race, except 600s racing with Blind Scotsman.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Spent 10 minutes, we did it again, 10 minutes of working with the footaging, and I just felt like this will be the best one. Again, Again, David and James, whistle saluting each other, and in the background, as you saw there, where Sheffield was making a cameo.
Yep.
I just wanted to make it like those two had like somewhat of an unusual mutual respect for one another or something, unless James learned something from 1218.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello-y!
And here we go. There's Rosie in the background taking, at Thomas's trains, and he doesn't know. He's too busy thinking of the future and Timothy
He's too
and
busy
whatnot.
thinking about Timothy.
He's thinking of the future, and of course, there's Ariel making a background, and yours truly makes his one-time cameo.
Ooh, nice.
That's me in the background, and no one even notices. And of course, you can hear my whistle in the background. There it was.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
So what what kind of engine was that? I couldn't really see.
Oh, and there's Ryan as well, making a cameo.
Ryan, yeah.
Yeah, with me, I'm a crossbreed of Gordon and Henry. I've got Henry's tender, and my main body is Gordon. I'm basically an LNER. I'm an LNER / LMS A3 mixed hybrid.
Cool.
Yeah.
Means I can take passengers and freight, but I am mostly for passengers. But I am a big mixed traffic loco. But I am technically an express loco. But I'm one who can do any job.
Nice.
In the strength department and speed, I'm just as fast as Gordon and Henry combined.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really useful.
Cool.
See, and you can tell Thomas is just so lost in thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't know what to do at this point.
Yeah, at this point here, this is again showing more of what David's doing with the trucks and everything, except he's taking China Clay at this point with no problem, and this is when we get to learn finally the flashback that he and Louise had. But at the same time, again, it was to like unravel the final flashback of what they thought at the time. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of guys didn't like this, but again, this is the final, piece of evidence that they could finally get before the engines would return home to Sodor. I mean, back to America, I meant. In case you don't know, Jason's getting his tender filled up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why he's sitting there.
Yeah, right next to a water tower.
Yeah, that's why he's sitting there. And of course, Louise is getting final checkups done, and Scotsman's just chilling out. And Peter Sam's in the works as well. And of course, yours truly makes one last little cameo.
Yep.
Like, he's looking. There I am.
Yep.
Up there.
Right there in the middle, getting checked up along with that's actually that's Soda hang on. That's Chuck's OC beside me. He's a Caledonian.
Cool.
Yeah. And we're both, because he filmed it more with me, so we're sitting together having our checkup done. And the engines don't even know we're there. So we're basically just, as if we're invisible to them, In this universe,
yeah.
In this universe, we're not technically familiar with them, but we're just, engines in the background, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Seeing David with that long coal train must bring back memories when he and his brothers on fast freight services and long trains of coal hoppers, especially since that's what the Norfolk and Western
And you can see I'm right there in the background again.
built them for, and it was one of the major coal haulers of the town.
This bit here, we did a little history debate between it, so I wanted to throw a little bit of a history lesson in here as well for the viewers. The background effects, I'm using real life effects.
Well, at least that was until the new modern Basils came and replaced them.
The era of steam couldn't last forever, Louise. Truth hurts at times. But besides that,
David's design ranks up unmatched records of performance in service, and from what I've learned about him and the rest of the 2664 Class A's, they were the most powerful steam engines in the world. Again, Jason's just going over what he's learned and what he knows about the class and everything. So again, a little bit of a history curve here. That's what this part was, just to pass the time. Again, British and Americans learning each other's, history traits.
Yeah.
Of £140,000. But with David being the only survivor of that class, he produced £125,897 when compared to his rival with the challenger Michael, who could deliver £97,350 of tractive effort. This may be of some interest, Jason, but we British engines could rival that of David. Again, this is me talking to my American OC, which I did find a little bit strange.
Yeah.
I was trying to keep my actual voice for Scotsman, and then I had to kind of change my tone a little bit for Jason. So that kind of was a bit of a pain in the bunker, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Well, it can, because incidentally, an LMS Duchess Pacific, or Coronations class, develops 40,285 of tractive effort. They have the largest boiler and firebox of any LMS locomotives, and the most powerful Pacifics in Britain. They were designed to take on 14 Coach Scott Expresses up both Sharp and Beta Bank on the West Coast Main Line unaided.
That sounds mighty impressive there, Scotsman. But if I was to tell David that, he'd perhaps laugh that off like water off a duck's back.
Water off a duck's back!
Listen, Naked, we're going to go down for bits.
That's all I have to agree with.
If you keep on whistling like that, we're going to go deaf or fall for bits.
That's all I have to agree with, little one. That David sure is a loud big boy. With the high-pitched tone whistle that he has, it rings the heck out of human beings' ears and can be heard for miles. I don't know how his crew and the American trains can stand it.
I don't even know how the crews handle, since the whistle is like right in front of the cab. It's like how would their ears not explode?
Yeah, same thing with some of the other engines as well. I know. Even I said the same thing, Scotsman. Yet I'm so used to it. Yet the one I have is not what my class had. For mine is identical of that of Nickel Plate 765, because the builders who built me said it suited me.
Why does David have a high-pitched whistle, Louise? Just curious.
Well, that's the whistle he was fitted with there, Peter Sam. You see, the Norfolk and Western standard whistle was the Hancock 3-chime, which is what I have, along with my sister. However, the Class A's and the Class Y6s were fitted with the homemade Hooter single-note whistle, something that the two classes of engines had in common. I see, back when me and my siblings were in service, I used to hear from my sister 611 that they would get annoyed at some of the engines and tried to get to sleep early or stay away from them, but their hooters would drive them to the point of near insanity.
And to think me and my Doncaster brothers and sisters couldn't stand the whistles of our A4 cousins when they came into service during the 1930s.
Spencer be like, "Hey, I heard that."
You weren't told about it? It's been over 2 weeks now since it ended. The curse is gone, and the ghost engine got peace and moved on.
Really? It's really over?
I wasn't there to see it happen, but Gordon and Thomas told me yesterday that 311 had done the unthinkable, and according to eyewitnesses who were there up on Black Wolf Mountain, she crossed the bridge all the way to the other side and vanished, thus ending the curse at last.
Thank goodness. Every night when I tried to sleep, I kept on thinking about it, and if it would come running by like it did on that day.
Louise?
Yes, Jason? Something on your mind?
Actually, it's about what David said. He said that he and you saw the ghost of 311, but she never took you both. He never told us about it, and maybe you could tell us what just happened on that day. After all, you didn't encounter 311 face to face, but rather caught a sight of her. But how did it all unfold? Again, this is the reason why we had to stretch the film because it didn't do a flashback of this guy, and then eventually we would finally hear, well, from 600's point of view, since David told the exact same thing.
It was during the year of 1988 or somewhere around the peak of the summer season. Norfolk Southern, which owned David, myself, and my youngest sister Jane, aka 611, and gave us permission to visit the Clinchfield on a 2-day tour. Then we headed to the Highland Valley Logging and Mining Company Railroad before we came to the former Campton and Southwestern Railroad, where a special steam convention was being held, and we was the main attractions.
And again, in the background, that was supposed to be Liz's OC.
Yeah.
Where a steam engine, that is.
We stayed there for about a month, taking in turns to hauling the tour train up and down the line of Black Wolf Mountain.
Those were just random background engines, anyway.
Yeah.
It was a rather fun experience, but that soon turned to terror for when we double-headed our train on a rainy day. David heard the bell and whistle of 311 coming from the mountain high above us. Now, see, at first I thought he was hearing things until I heard it too. Then when we departed on the return trip, we could hear her demonic laughter, which was very disturbing to say the least. This would go on for the rest of the remaining days during our time on former CSW lines, and we wanted to get out of there in case we became new victims of 311's curse. We never saw the engine face to face, but one night when we were resting, we could see the new bridge, and there, with some other train enthusiasts, we saw her horrid and demonic form, with red smoke, trying to cross that bridge, but she vanished halfway. It was an experience me and David never wanted to have again. The enthusiasts who saw it mistakenly thought they saw Frisco 1522, but it wasn't. We would tell the other engines about this and promised never to tell anyone else. That was until I accidentally mentioned it during our visit here 29 years later, much to David's dismay.
It's kind of ironic that you did, Louise.
Now that you ask me, it's my turn. When are we to return to the States?
From what my driver read on his calendar, we're leaving first thing tomorrow at the crack of dawn early in the morning. The Soto controller has given us special trains to pull later today as part of a farewell gift to us.
That's good to know. Though I'm going to miss working here, as will Ariel, Luke, and David.
I'm going to miss it too, Louise. Hauling these freight trains and the local passenger services were awesome. Though my designers said I couldn't pull passenger trains, for my class were not built for it. But in the specifications of my design, I can, though I am limited in pulling mainline express trains. It's funny that a replica triplex like you can even pull passenger trains at all, Jason. But I'm really impressed. I'm sure the other engines felt the same too. Some did, but others were unsure of what to think.
It's been quite interesting to see what our American counterparts look like after seeing them in pictures and TV. Yet seeing you in person was something else. Hope you come back someday.
Me too. I've had some really good parallel runs with you, Louise, including some with Luke and Ariel, and the passengers loved it. Not to mention, it brought back a lot of memories when I used to do that during my tour in Australia.
Like Ariel said, we thank Soto's controller very much for bringing us over to spend the autumn season with you. It's been such a great honor despite what happened with 311. I'm just glad it's over now that she's at peace.
That's basically Jason backing off. You can hear that's him making that sound.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, Winston made a cameo at the end, who I did the voicing as well.
Yeah. Oh, there's Thomas.
Of course, as you heard there, Jason revealed of him being a replica, and he's very limited in taking passengers at all. And yeah, you heard how the conversation went down. You can understand the way how he does things now. Still there, lads?
Yeah.
Hi there, Thomas. Had a good sleep?
Thomas ain't answering.
Are you alright, Thomas? Why the no response?
Still no response.
Thinking about Timothy, I assume.
Yeah, that's
At
what I
least you
think.
heard what Jason said about his replica style of what he can do.
What's up with the little blue tank engine? Do you know Scotsman? It beats me, Eagle. But
Oh,
I'll have to
Eagle.
talk to him when...
Yeah, again, he's not called Winston in this. Again, quote unquote, he prefers to be called Eagle. Again, I'm going with
Yeah.
what I said in NWR Origin.
Yeah, I remember those.
So again, I was sticking to that being canon for Winston, even though that he prefers to be called Eagle.
when I can find the right time to do so. But if I were to guess, it must be something of a family matter, because I've heard he's had some encounters with someone in the last few years. Whoever it was, I'll soon know.
So yeah, Flying Scotsman was also going to play a big role in the next story. There was a quote spoiler. There was one event that happened during Christmas in 2016 or so, and of course during this year in 2017's Christmas version, Thomas would actually tell him all about it.
Yeah.
And it actually reveals why he hadn't seen Timothy for like close to an entire year.
Dang.
These damn ads. Pain in the bum.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Pain in the buffers.
I know.
Or bunker, more like.
A kick in the tires.
A kick in the tires. That sounds pretty appropriate. I think we'll be nearly done now, so some more damage. Oh, I can skip this one here. Oh well. Again, at the end, when this was all said and done, I had to figure out a way of like, how am I going to end this on a good note, a positive note? And then I realized after all of this, I had to figure out I need to do a bit of a comedy.
Yeah.
All right.
This was just like after the Americans finally leave. We had to give them a good send off though and do a final montage.
Yeah.
Again, Rosie's there, some more OCs in the background.
Okay, guys, I like my mom wants me to say I gotta go now.
That's all right. At least you stayed
See
for as
ya.
long as you did.
Yeah. See ya, guys.
Take care.
See
mate.
ya.
Bye.
And of course, there's Liz as Mel. There's Liz herself, the actress. That's her making a small cameo there. Coming off the Ballyhoo branch, helping those diesels that you saw in Wild Nor'Wester.
Mm-hmm.
Those rail car services. Yeah, she's just giving them a helping hand. And Luke and Louise she's shooting past with a nice triple header. And of course, David takes one last load of the day.
Yep.
Surely after we did that, just a few seconds after cutting it off, he just basically went off and derailed.
Oh, jeez.
And some more OCs. There's Jimmy the Ginty making another cameo, and that's actually Tank Engine 97 himself making a small cameo.
Nice.
That's cool.
As a reward for what he did in the movie.
Okay.
It's like I said, our OCs are there, we just don't see our faces. That's why we.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then there's Jason taking his last ever local on Sodor. But again, he's just going at his speed anyway. Like I said, as a smooth rider.
Yep.
How did you make the OCs?
Yeah, all that wishing and hissing is just basically I like to use it because of like the steam that's coming out of him.
Yeah.
Oh, and this bit here was when the only time we ever get to see, like, one of the few times we see Ariel 1, 2, 2, 3 going like really fast, and she's literally going very quick. And at this point, she leaves a stunned Gordon speechless, and Gordon's like thinking to himself, like, how the hell can a small little engine like that, how can a
Wow.
4.4 American like that go at high speed? Like, he's literally impressed. As you can see there, Gordon is just like, what in the heck?
Yeah.
How can someone at a low rank like me go that fast? Like, he's literally just speechless.
It's been great to have you on my railway.
Don't worry, he's not taking like photos. He's basically filming them on their departure.
Tell your owners we wish you all the best and steam well into the future. Compliments of Sir Topham Hatt at the engines of the Northwestern Railway.
We will, Sir Topham Hatt. Hope to come back soon. Long live steam, and long live the island of Sodor. Goodbye, Jason, Ariel, David, Louise, and Luke. God bless you all, and God bless American steam.
Again, steam neutral respect. Of course, this was a thing I thought like I'd do like one last time, and you would think 311 would have left. But no, she comes back for one last time. Along with, the manager and her driving fireman. It's kind of like the happy ending we would have wanted.
Yeah.
You did the right thing by exercising your demons and found what you wanted. Closure, redemption, and peace.
Yep, that classic wink Flying Scotsman gives.
Yep.
They're both talking to spirits now.
Yeah, like I said before, that was like the happy ending that 311 wanted.
You got great ending.
Evening, sir. You look a bit cross.
This is the bit like, after all the build up and the great farewell.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is kind of where we decided, like, I gotta send the fans home happy. You know what I mean? So instead, I gave a bit of comedy in this, and I am not gonna lie, I literally thought this is one of the best comedy moments I ever put together. I'm sure you guys might remember.
Yeah, probably.
Right, I am, Henry.
You're darn right I'm upset, Henry. That guy Wiggles apparently ate all my dinner at KFC and McDonald's. Jeez. I know. I just literally don't know what made me do this. I was like,
and McDonald's.
Well, listen, I voice Wiggles as a joke here. Just listen to it. It's just so funny. You just had the whole lot while I was literally talking to my mistress on the telephone.
Darn right I am, Henry. I wasted some of my money on McDonald's Big Mac Whopper and a KFC popcorn chicken with fries. Since Wiggles here had the whole lot, and all I had was a large Pepsi.
Oh my god!
I know. I just don't know what made me do it. I just I've got to Make the audience
Yeah.
laugh at this.
You
It's
mean-
like, I waste all my money and this and that.
While you were on your phone outside chatting to your father while I was just sitting there. What was I supposed to do? Sit there and let it get cold?
I paid for it, you know, and you ate it all with my back turned. Next time you do that again, I'm firing you.
How would you be able to eat?
Yeah, I know. This is where we get a little bit OTT'd. Right? I was like, I gotta put this in.
Last time you failed to tell me that the toilet on Gordon's Express was out of use after I'd taken a poop in it, and the passenger was as clean as the Hulk for the
What the
Marvel
hell?
comics.
Yeah, and he just said like, and the passengers were green as the Hulk of the Marvel comics. I was like, okay, I know where this is gonna go. I just couldn't help but put funny stuff in this. It was just, again, I had to break the fourth wall and make it hilarious.
Henry's just confused.
He's like,
Yeah,
what the
Henry's
hell
like,
am I hearing?
what?
Like,
Yeah,
what the hell
this
am I
is what
hearing?
everybody else in the fandom were doing as well, so I thought, why not for fun? He's like, give me a break, or in my case, give me some Welsh coal.
Come on, sir. That was like a year ago, and you're still going on about that? Besides that, you have put on a bit more weight than you did the last time. 2 months to be exact, and you need to drop it. Otherwise, you'll become more than just a bloated...
I'm not that fat, Wiggles, you dummy. If I was, then I'd have a bloody solo wrestler or something like that guy from the Austin Powers film. Or...
Okay, we get the point, sir.
Yeah, anyways, what do you want to talk about, Henry?
Nothing much, but it's about Thomas, sir. He was looking a bit down when I passed Proven's Gate a few days ago. Something about it didn't seem right. He's been like this today as well as, and all the other engines didn't get answers when they asked him what was wrong. If I was to guess, sir, it has something to do with that silver tank engine we encountered back in 2015.
You mean Timothy? But don't be so concerned, Henry. He's no longer a threat to us since he's unwelcomed on my railway.
Like that's gonna do anything.
And I'll make sure he's sent back to where he came from.
And how will you do that?
With this magic lamp.
Oh my god.
Ain't no way.
Yes.
Ain't no way that will actually work.
Yeah, again, you could tell I was doing a bit of a comedy reference there.
It worked on Alfred.
Yep, I had to do it for a laugh.
That's over the top point line again. Have you been watching too many Disney films, sir?
Don't ever question about my favorite childhood film, Wiggles, or otherwise I won't take you to Disneyland again for this year's Christmas holiday.
I bet he bought that at Disneyland.
I know him.
Okay, that was a little weird. It's been 2 years since the events, and we've not seen Timothy. Maybe he has left us. Yet that memory when I saw him at Ballyhoo Tunnel still burns in my mind. I just hope we don't encounter anything like him or 311 again, since those were near-death-like moments.
Yeah, whatever's bothering Thomas, I will see to it when I can.
Okay, sir.
Besides the passengers, I don't think Timothy has ever killed anyone else.
No, but that's what
No,
Henry
he
said.
hasn't.
That was what he remembered.
What was Timothy planning?
Sir Top Hat, sir, to make up for this and to prevent you from firing me, I'll buy you a Burger King meal along with a Subway, since the stores are still open for the next 2 hours.
Burger King?
Thank you, Wiggles. That's why
God.
you're my most trusted man to have at my side, as well as my great friend.
Wow.
Again, yeah,
That's
that was
all it took.
Yeah, that was the final dialogue. And I was like, all right, I mean, on a comedy note, and some more bloody montages, but it had to help to pass the time.
Chugga chugga choo choo.
Again, this was again another cool shot to use.
Express coming through.
And of course, this was also from the Railway series at Lower Knapford from the Railway series, which I didn't really use at the time, so I thought I'd give it a cameo. And yours truly makes one less cameo as well. What I was trying to do there was like a season 2, season 1 mix up there, like Edward's like waiting, but then James comes through, like he's like taking the chucks like we saw in season 1.
Yeah.
That's the reference.
Cool.
It's always fun to add references to certain things in a video.
Flying Scotsman coming through.
It is. Of course, you saw Highway Studios, and of course his other OC with him as well, making one last cameo.
I definitely want to get Train Simulator.
Doug and Oliver there, but look who else is here. Oliver's surviving sibling, who made a special cameo at the very end.
Oh, that's cool.
Titbolt Thunderbolt.
A week had passed, and the story of the Clinchfield curse seemed to vanish along with the existence of 311's ghost. But the engines never dismissed the thought of such supernatural occurrences as to what they saw in the events prior to this. But despite that, the story of the former Clinchfield engine would come back to them and play on their minds from time to time. They would sometimes bring up the subject just in case if anyone had seen it.
And of course, Stepney made a little cameo at the very end.
Cool.
Thomas and Edward were among them, but both engines knew that one thing was for sure. After 16 long and dark years, Clinchfield 311 had broken
As you can tell, they're both looking up, wondering if it is all over.
the bonds that held her in the realm of the living, and finally,
And Timothy's legend is like older than like 100 years old.
forever ending the curse of that which once made her the most feared and famous ghost train in Black Wolf Mountain on the Black Wolf Central.
Choo choo.
Again, 311 has found peace, but we're left when thinking, is it really over?
Is it really over? I just assume so.
I really did like how I used this music to kind of end it. Like, it's a dark story, but it's like, it's over. But in our mind, I like to believe, is it really over yet?
Yeah, I like when people do that for certain videos, like this kind of stuff.
It definitely is over.
Maybe, and then of course, after obvious reasons, I did use the Long Black Train song, which we cannot play due to obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, looking back on it, it's just really, really good. I mean,
yeah,
all the guys that were around, I'll just skip the credits at the end. At this bit here, I thought it was really good. Like at this point here, where 311 makes one last appearance.
Oh, post credits, that's cool.
Yeah, at the end, where Josh Turner says at the end that devils are driving with the long black train, and then 311 just like gives one last salute, and we're just thinking, has she found peace? Is this like her saying goodbye? In a way. So I was trying to make it that, like we see in films. Is it really over, or has she finally moved on? And then she crosses the bridge again.
That's cool.
That was one of the best I ever. I really liked how that turned out. And
it turned out very well.
And we were just left to wonder, was that really the end of Clinchfield 311? The curse may have been. I mean, Clinchfield 311 is done, but we don't know if it was really over or not. And again, looking back on it in hindsight, it's still one of the best I've ever done.
Definitely.
But again, the aftermath was, well, I'll just tell you, it was really tense. But after 2 long years, it was over. Like the project finally came to rest in its own way, I guess. But but even to this day, I mean, people are still thanking all who were involved. They give them the credit where credit is due. I mean, I know the old team don't really care anymore about it, but they should recognize that, it's still regarded to this day as one of the best things that the community ever saw, pushing creativity to new heights it had never seen.
I'm glad that this fandom is still alive.
In a way, yes. A lot of people do believe, a lot of people do say at the end of the film, when they first saw the Timothy film with me, someone kind of said in part 1 of my Timothy film, said this guy definitely changed the fandom forever. I don't know if that was intentional for a good reason or not, but if so, then driver's cap, man. But still, it wasn't intentional. But if that is the case, then I guess I do have some talent after all. But again, a lot of people do still recognize it to this very day.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I would never do anything like that again, like making a 3-hour film like that. But if I were to make my own, it would be a bit shorter and it would look a little different, but it would follow a similar story.
Yeah.
It's just that, again, it was a very difficult project, but again, it was worth doing in the end. Like when it was finally over, when it was over, I breathed a big sigh of relief. Like I was so happy it was over, but at the same time I was missing the fun when we were all recording, just having a laugh, and when I was with the team and we'd all just talk amongst ourselves while we were filming and editing at the same time. That's what I missed a lot of. That's the thing I missed mostly. But again, it was worth making. But again, I would never actually go that far again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't think we would actually going to go too far with that, but for part 4, this marks the conclusion, shall we say, of the Halloween review throwback of the film of 311, aka Ghost Train 2, The Clinchfield Curse. And I want to thank all you guys who tuned in for part 1, 2, 3, and to now. If any of you have missed it, have missed the first 3, the links are down in the description box for you, so if you want to catch up, or if you may have gotten a little lost. But thank you all for tuning in. We kind of beat the deadline for Halloween 2022, so I guess we can all sleep in our beds and be, don't have to worry about the ghost train coming for us, I guess.
Yep.
But anyways, guys, thank you for popping in. Backman and Tommy Productions, it was an honor to have you in for the first time. Creepy Boy 90, thanks for popping in. And for all of you viewers watching, it was an honor for you to pop in to have a revisit, to have a nice throwback on this. This is KaneFan701. This has been the throwback for Ghost Train 2. Take care, everybody, and see you again maybe at some point before this year ends. Take care, everybody, and good night.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.